Well. What has happened here? StreamYard has fucked up again. I apologize, everyone. I apologize. I don't know what's going on. It's having problems. It's having issues. StreamYard's being very disrespectful. How are you guys doing today? Let me pop in real quick. Everything looks different on my end. I don't know how it looks for you guys. StreamYard did a thing. I don't know what it did, why it did it. Everything looks different again. It is completely changed. I got a weird alert when I started streaming that said basically they're having issues. I don't. There's like an extra button to swipe myself out, Mel style, which I don't appreciate because we don't need that. We need to swipe out less. So why is this happening? I don't know why, but it keeps like stopping videos. The reason I was late is I was trying to test it on a private stream to see what was going on, like why it looks different and if it's going to change anything. Chrome killed my ad blocker today. Yeah, one of the things it said is the newest version of Chrome, like 0.381 or something, and then a Firefox, like it has glitches with those. I checked what kind of Chrome I have, and I don't have the latest update. It keeps wanting me to. So yeah, them have issues. Wild. What sucks is that all the other means to stream, including YouTube, the platform itself, make it very difficult to share documents, share video. It fucks up the audio. So I don't know what I'm gonna do because StreamYard keeps having issues, and I pay a lot of money for it. Normally I would just use the free version if it's gonna fuck up so bad. But the lives are so long that I run out of the allotted 20 hours in like 3 streams, usually, sometimes 4. So in order to keep giving you longer streams and stuff like that and make it easily accessible and free for YouTube, I don't want you to have to like join some thing where you have to pay. And I know not everybody uses Twitch. Yeah, I know Google supports the genocide in Gaza. So do, my grandparents and a lot of fucking people out there who don't really pay a lot of attention. It feels like every single industry supports some genocide somewhere. So yeah, that's unfortunate. But I will say this much. It's complicated what's going on with StreamYard. I don't really know a workaround yet. I tried to do it before the live. I honestly thought the live was 10:30. Shout outs to Turbo for letting me know it was 10. That's my bad. But just bear with me. If stuff just pauses or goes away, I'll be right back to bring it back up. Again, I don't know what's going on. Also, I am getting fuck bombed by mosquitoes. I've been bit like 20 times in 5 minutes. So my arms hurt. That's not Carrie Underwood. That is what's her name from The Mask? I can't remember her name right now. Cameron Diaz. She's married to one of the guys from Good Charlotte. So that's a fun little nugget. You might not have known that. Now you know. Wow. I hope I don't get malaria. There are so many mosquitoes biting me right now inside of my house. Anyway, just bear with me while we figure out what's going on with StreamYard. I don't know why it's doing this. I'm very angry. I will write them a strongly worded email. But let's continue with the song. This is I didn't want to have to do this live. I didn't want to. I don't have to, but I feel compelled. Let's just say that because I got annoyed. It gave me nightmares. Like I was so angry. I went to bed angry and I try to never go to bed angry, but I did. I was pissed. There's some shit I should have saw 6 months ago that I didn't see. Fuck you, algorithm. How dare you? But the algo showed me something that made me, it's like I have to warn them. I need to do a Paul Revere, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let this play so we can get to the point. This is going to be, I'm not going to say a heavy one, but an anger inducing one. I want to let you know ahead of time, the goal of today's live is not to investigate the Delphi case at all. It's not to prove that Richard Allen did it or didn't do it. That's not the goal. So if you're here for that, that's not what we're doing today. What the goal is to do is to show you a conspiracy theory in action. I want to show you where it came from. I want to show you who's spreading it. And I want to show you why you need to be careful, because sometimes even people that you respect, that you care about, you might be a longtime viewer or listener to a specific news service, podcast, YouTube channel, even this one. There's going to be times when I disappoint you with my opinion. Some of you, quite a few of you, did not like at all that I think Richard Allen is guilty. You wanted a lot of details. You wanted to know exactly why. And there's some things that just kind of sicken me, and that I don't even want to know, that I don't want to share, because I don't want to be someone who, I don't want to perpetuate something that's going to put families in danger, or if it's done, it's done. There's kind of no point, you know? But then I see some things and I see them growing, specifically some conspiracy theories. And I see people that at one point in time I really enjoyed watching, and I see them sharing it. And I see a lot of people that I know are intelligent humans with good hearts buying into bullshit. And it makes me mad, especially when I know the source. In fact, I probably know the source a little better than some people. And it really bothers me. And I can't just shut up about it, especially when that person or people are having great success in the fuckery. Let's just say that. And I want people to be successful, but if it's a bad person, no, I don't. I don't want them to be successful, especially if they're doing something shitty. So while I don't want to have to do this, I feel compelled to. So tonight we're going to talk about how a conspiracy is born and how to check your sources. And I hope that some of you who see this, and maybe you did buy into it, it's okay to be duped. It's also okay to change your mind about a source or where something comes from or what you think. It's okay to adjust with new information. Trigger warning. Unfortunately, we are going to eventually get to a point, and I know this is probably going to make some of you go, what the fuck? But we are going to get to a point where very graphic details of animal abuse are going to be shared tonight, unfortunately. Because that's what happened. And believe it or not, it has to do with a lot of this. And I think that for me, anybody who abuses an animal is not a good source. It's not somebody that I trust. And if people that I like trust that person, well, gross. I'm afraid that some credibility has been lost there. Maybe some respect for me. People don't need my respect. That's fine. I get it. But it really bothers me. And I have to say something. So, yeah, I'll let you know when it happens so you can step out. We're not going to show anything graphic, but unfortunately what this person did is very bad. And it has to do with animals. And I just would encourage you to do the research and do the OSINT when you hear something that sounds, I mean, shit, believable or unbelievable. If it's somebody giving it to you that you're not aware of, and it is a strong enough subject matter where it causes people to get harassed or causes people to fight for someone that maybe doesn't deserve it, then this is something that I want you to consider. Really look into your sources. Unfortunately, I knew right away when I saw one face, oh, fuck. No wonder people are getting so nuts about Delphi, even though the trial is over. Wow. I digress. Let's continue. Look, it's Cameron Diaz.
Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Rape. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. We have video of her just touching. Out of that jail, I will. Excuse me. Excuse me. Rape. That's assault. You cannot touch me like that. Rape. Oh, I will be telling you. Rape. That's assault. That's assault. That's assault. Drop that chair here. We have video of her just. These people are going to eject you from this line. Out of that jail, I will. Assault. It is incredibly appropriate. I will. You cannot touch me like that. That's assault. Drop that chair here. Ma'am, you cannot touch me like that. It is incredible. That's assault. Right? That's assault. Right? Drop that chair, ma'am. Drop that chair, ma'am. Drop that chair, ma'am. These people are going to eject you from this line. Right? That's assault. Right? Ma'am. Right? Oh, I will, ma'am. Ma'am, that's assault. That's assault. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Drop that chair here. That's assault. Right? Ma'am, that's assault. Ma'am. Right down. Ma'am. Right down. Drop that chair here. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. Ma'am, that's assault. Ma'am, it is. You cannot touch me like that. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Right down. Right down. Ma'am. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. That's assault. We have video of her just touching. How did that go? I will be. Excuse me. Ma'am. Excuse me. Right down. That's assault. Excuse me. Drop that chair. Ma'am. You cannot touch me like that. Break down. Break down. Break down. Break down. That's break down. Break down. Oh, I will be telling you. Break down. Break down. That's assault. That's assault. That's assault. Drop that. Break down. That's assault. Drop that chair here. We have video of her just. These people are going to eject you from this line. How did that show? I will be assault. It is incredibly offensive. I will. You cannot touch me like that. That's assault. Break down. Drop that chair here. Ma'am, you cannot touch me like that. It is incredible. That's assault. Break down. That's assault. Break down. Drop that chair. Drop that chair. Drop that chair. Ma'am, these people are. These people are going to eject you from this line. Break down. That's break down. Break down. That's assault. Break down. Ma'am. Break down. Oh, I will. Ma'am. That's assault. That's assault. Oh, I will. That's assault. 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 Oh, I will. That's assault. 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 Oh, I will be telling you. That's assault. 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 Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Drop that chair here. That's assault. Break down. That's assault. That's assault. Oh, I will be telling you. That's assault. That's assault. Oh, I will be telling you. That's assault. 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 Oh, I will. That's assault. 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 That's assault.
Living room. Bedrooms, dinettes. Oh yeah, you can Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall. Oh yeah, come shop with us. I said flea market, Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall. Hey, you heard me. Come shop. Living rooms, bedrooms, dinettes. We got it. You need it. You'll find it. It's just like a mini mall. Hey, you heard me. Come shop. I said flea market, Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall. Hey, living rooms, bedrooms, dinettes. Oh yeah, you can find them at the market. We talking about flea market, Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall. Hey, don't stop. Let's make it a dance. Come on now, to the left, to the right. Let's do this dance. Hey, to the left, to the right. Let's make this a dance. Flea market, Montgomery. It keeps you jumping. It's just like a mini mall. Check it out now, everybody. Like this now. Hey, flea market, Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall. Don't stop. Let's dance. Flea market, Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall.
Let's bring it on down now. Oh yeah, I know you're gonna like this. Come on now.
It's just like,
You know what to say.
it's just like,
You know what I mean.
it's just like,
You know it. So why don't you just come on and say it?
it's just like a mini mall.
Oh yeah, you said it. It's just like a mini mall. Oh yeah, you like this. Come on now, flea market.
self-defense means meeting violence with violence. First a warrior, all else is folly.
I'll just bring Paul over here. We had the Adam's apple. The head makes a circle and chops into that brainstem. That's a knockout point. Thank you, Paul. I come right in and attack the eye. Thank you, Paul. So you poke from here right into the eye. Thank you, Paul. I hit him, comes flying back. If I miss, into there. Thank you, Paul. As you can see, there's a lot of force. Thank you, Paul. And we're squeezing hard behind the windpipe. Thank you, Paul. I follow through with the strike. Thank you, Paul. Wham, like that. Thank you, Paul. Kick, like that. Thank you, Paul. Coming right down on the skull. Thank you very much, Paul. 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 Out of that circle.
By following McSweeney's self-defense, you're going to be able to maintain a strong, healthy body and to protect it throughout your entire lifespan, or until you become disabled or fragile and weak.
Disabled and fragile and weak. Thank you so much to Found Footage Fest for making that wonderful thing available. How are you guys doing tonight? Okay. I think we've got everything figured out. I cannot find my vape. I'm very upset, but it's fine. It's fine. We'll figure that out later. Hello, everybody. Okay. To start this out, here's what I want to say. I'm from Texas. A lot of you know that. For those of you who don't, hi, I'm from Texas. Nice to meet you. In Texas, we have a couple of famous true crime cases that made it all the way to court TV. You know, I'm sure you guys can name a few, the Branch Davidians and so on and so forth. I have been, just like a lot of you guys, interested in true crime, victims advocacy, research, all sorts of things that have to do with crime cases in general, or as Raul calls it, true crime sometimes. Not a big fan of drama, big fan of sussing out bullshit. Not a fan of conspiracies. In fact, I hate them. I found it offensive when people said that Karen Reed's trial was a conspiracy, because it really wasn't. It had a lot of fact to it. In fact, all of it was fact. I think it was kind of a flip-flop conspiracy, or a bit of a, if anything, it was just, you know, it was just dirty cops. And we've seen that before. By conspiracy, I mean shit like the frogs are gay, like Alex Jones shit. Shit where people go and sit outside someone's house or harass them with absolutely no evidence whatsoever that they did anything. The internet can be very, very delusional sometimes. There were so many people in the Delphi case, for example, who got blamed before Richard Allen came out and confessed, and before he went to court, and before the trial ever even happened. During the trial happening, people who had been cleared were harassed and bothered. People who had no evidence against them whatsoever. A guy whose kid drew a picture got blamed. The amount of delusion that went on that people still to this day hold true is astounding to me. I have friends who were in the courtroom who I spoke with personally. Turbo's one of them, who shared their thoughts with me. People who thought Richard Allen was innocent also shared their thoughts with me, having spent 2 days in the courtroom, came out saying, oh, he fucking did it. Now, just because even just because they told me doesn't mean I believe it, you know, doesn't mean I believe it because they told me. It's the shit they saw and heard and the testimony and the fact that it was widely reported and other people saw it and the jurors saw it and they felt the same way. That to me gave weight to their opinion and made me say, okay. I'm starting to think maybe they did get the right guy. Now, regardless of what I believe or don't believe, I would still be making this video because here in Texas, I went to school for criminology after going to school for journalism. And I spent almost 20 years as a journalist and a stand-up comedian. I've been pretty transparent with you guys. I'm not a fucking cop. I don't work for the FBI. I'm not CIA. I'm a computer nerd that's interested in open source intelligence. Yes, I've worked with digital extraction software. Yes, I know how to find information that some people have a hard time finding. I can walk you through how to do a FOIA. Yes, I did train to be a private investigator. And when there was an opportunity for me to certify myself, to get my license, I took a moment and I said, you know what? This is really going to tie my hands. There are a lot of restrictions to that sort of job here in Texas. It prevents you from doing a lot of things that as a private citizen you can do with public information. I'm still on the fence on if I really want to go through with it. I'm thinking about it. But one thing that I know for sure that I learned from a Texas Ranger who taught one of my classes, my favorite class, crime scene investigation, was that the one thing you don't do, especially in Texas, is lie about being a private investigator, conduct surveillance without a license, and you most certainly don't go on the news and pretend to do that sort of thing while stating that you have a license when you don't. It's highly illegal. It's not okay. And there's a reason why you have to get that certification, why you have to get that licensing, because they do a background check on you. And when they do that background check, if you have certain things on your record, you're just not going to be able to do that job. It's that simple. So the only thing worse, really, than pretending you are, lying about it, going on TV and openly stating that you are qualified to do something you're not, is to somehow get the victims' families to believe you and to try to advocate for them under that guise. The other thing that is really, really bad about that is when people do believe you. When you do get that clout and you do have the ability to sway opinion, simply because when you were on the news and people saw you, they said you were a PI. They said you had these credentials. They said you had these qualifications. So people believed you. I'm going to show you something today, and I want you to pay close attention, okay? Because being from Texas, I've heard about this woman. In fact, not just heard about this woman. I know people who have met this woman. And the woman you're going to see, I don't agree with anything she says. I don't trust her. She scares the shit out of me, quite frankly. I think that she is not only breaking the law. I mean, it's not that I think she did break the law. She did a lot of fucked up stuff in her life. But one of the most fucked up things, I think, is running coups on families who are already suffering through tragedy, and then backing up insane theories that not only she came up with, but just things she saw on the internet, thoughts she has, feelings she has, and lying to the public pretty frequently. And because I'm from Texas and I know people who know her and I've seen her around, I've seen her on the internet talking her shit, I said, I'm going to stay far away from that one. Fuck her. She scares the shit out of me. She's crazy. Like, no, I don't want to be near that person. Then I saw something the other day that it's my bad. I should have seen this 6 months ago. Unfortunately, I blame my algorithm. I think I did actually see it, but I didn't see her face. So maybe that's why I didn't know this happened. But I was prepping for an episode. I'll be very transparent with you. I'm working on an episode where I'm going to pick apart the Frank's memo and I'm going to tell you why it's bullshit, in my opinion. And I'm going to finally tell you guys who have been asking me why I feel that. I'll tell you exactly why I feel that way. Now, you can disagree with me all you want. I'm not going to hate you. I'm not going to think you're bullshit. I'm not going to have less respect for you. No. It's people who push things that they could easily verify that bother me. So I'm going to show you this person, and I'm going to let it play through. And then I'm going to show you something else. And you're going to see exactly why I'm pissed off. And I really want you, when you're watching this, I want you to ask yourself, does this sound reasonable? Okay. Just does this sound reasonable? Because reasonable doubt, right, is a thing used in court that we're constantly discussing, not just on this channel, but in general. So I think reasonable is a good word to keep in your head when you're consuming this type of content. Anything that has to do with crime, is this reasonable to think, right? I try to do that when I'm going through step by step, either confirming or debunking things to determine what I feel when I'm watching a case. So I'm going to go ahead and play this for you. Now, I want you to know ahead of time a little bit about what this is about. So I'm just going to give you a brief touch on this. This is from Big Country homepage, okay? This is a woman who claims that she is a private investigator, claimed at the time she did this interview 6 years ago, which is 2019, that she was a private investigator. She worked on a big case here in Texas she worked on a big case here in Texas. Let me put that very clearly, called the Haley Dunn case. Now, Haley Dunn is a little girl whose mother, Billy Dunn, and her boyfriend were supposed to be watching. She was a cheerleader from a small town up around Odessa and Big Spring, which is the worst place I've ever done comedy. Really terrible area. A lot of the people in this town have severe drug problems, really bad drug problems. The family, just like any other small town that is plagued with these issues, also has some issues, you know. One thing's for sure, the biological father and the mother of the girl, when she went missing, were at odds. The biological father was very upset. He said, you're supposed to protect her, and you let this guy in the house who's a piece of shit and has a horrible background, and I think he did something to our daughter. Now, the mother, Billy, has been all over, 48 Hours, Dateline, every show, talking about how she misses her daughter. Some people used to compare her to Darlie Routier. I would hold off on that. I actually think Darlie has a little more innocence points. But one thing's for sure, this little girl ended up dead. She ended up being found very far after when she went missing. I believe it was like a month. I don't know the exact amount of time. All signs pointed to the boyfriend of the mom doing it, okay? This is an interview from a PI who at the time claimed to work with the family, and it felt weird to me. And she made a lot of wild accusations about who did it. Now, the man who ended up going to prison, or going to jail, I should say, and being put on trial, or he was supposed to be put on trial, was Sean Atkins. Now, they ended up dismissing or dropping the charges. I guess they didn't have enough to prosecute him at the time. So that all fell through. Now, the PI, did a series of interviews because her focus was on the mother of the girl. Now, while I think the mother made a series of bad decisions, I don't think the mother actually did it or had anything to do with it. I think she made a lot of bad decisions, feels guilt, and should have done better. Not going to lie, she should have done better, but she knows that. With that said, this is what this woman who claims to be a PI, her name is Erica Morse, private investigator. Okay. I'm going to let you watch this, and then we're going to talk about this. But again, listen to her and ask yourself, is this reasonable while you watch her? Okay. And this is her talking about this. Here we go. And I will link you to this when this is all done. Oh, yeah, DB. I'm talking about her because I'm tired of this bullshit.
Okay, just tell me your first and last name.
Erica Morse, ERICA-MORSE.
You're a private investigator.
Yes, for the state of Texas.
For the state of Texas.
Mhm.
You tell us when you became
Let's
involved.
pause it right now. No, you're not. No, you're not. You didn't have a license, and I'm going to prove that in a little bit. Do you guys recognize her yet? Let me know if you do in the chat. Let me know if you recognize her and who she did an interview with for Delphi multiple times. Let me know if you recognize her. Tell me who her friends are, who backs her up, who she hangs out with. Very interested if you can name the news entity that had her on.
Case.
Involved.
Started to investigate. Or, yeah, involved. Okay.
40 minutes after Haley was reported missing. 3:40 p.m. on December 28th, 2010. I was the station manager here at KBST in Big Spring. And my phone rang. I was covering the
Radio
news.
station?
Yes,
Okay.
KBST radio station here in Big Spring. And my news director was out covering sports that day, and I have news background, so I was covering the news desk. And phone rang about 3:40 p.m. I answered it. And
Let's
it's
pause
Erica,
for a
this is-
second and make a timeline together, because this is going to be real fun for us. Okay. What did she say? 2010, right? All right. So this was 6 years ago. This is 2019. So 9 years, she stated, before was when she hopped on this case, because she was working in radio in Big Spring, which is a town about the size of my ass.
Sheriff Toombs over in Sea City. We've got a 13-year-old girl that's gone missing. We need your help. Looks like she's been missing since at least yesterday. We're following some leads into the Big Spring area, and we need your stations to help us get the word out from the Sea City area westward into Big Spring, westward into Midland, Odessa. I said, send me the info. He faxed me over some information. I believe it might have been the initial report. We broke in at 3:45, 5 minutes later, to say that we had a missing child out of Sea City. We'd have all the details at 4, and we started running the story at 4. That's how I initially became involved in the case.
Several years later,
Mhm.
Haley's dad contacts you, and you're now a PI.
Correct. I got my license for Haley to solve this case.
Pause it. I got my license for Haley to solve this case. No, you didn't. Let's continue.
Clinton asked me to get it.
Really?
Yes.
Now, here's why I think
Yes.
he said really in that tone. Okay. Yeah, she just said fuck it, didn't she? So, you got your PI license. That's fun. Okay. Now, here's the thing. When I wanted to get mine, I was pissed off because I was told you're going to have to become a cop. And I said, fuck, I don't want to do that. I can't do that. I just don't want to, and I can't. I'm too much of a scared little bitch to be a cop. Now, what's interesting is there is a loophole here. You can go to school and thank you, DB. Correct. Absolutely correct. Thank you, DB, for paying attention. Now, here's the thing. You have to go to school and get a bachelor's degree in criminology in order to do this. You have to do what I did and spend, I don't know, $25K so that you can go to school. And then not only that, you have to do your field hours. What are field hours? DB's got it. DB's got it. Now in Texas, you have to be employed by a licensed agency and you have to apprentice for upwards of 3 years in addition to going back to school. Now, you can apprentice before or after. Now, whether you are getting paid or not, whether you are interning or not, whether you are conducting surveillance or whether you are working on the other side where you're doing tech work for a PI, you still have to do that. Yeah, it's a lot more than Indiana. So you have to do a long amount of field work. And I know because I did it. You have to be apprenticed under a PI, or you have to have one vouch for you that says, hey, I paid them to do this work. Or you have to have somebody who is a licensed criminal investigator, a police officer. You can have a department that you work for. You can even work under a teacher who teaches the courses outside of school. And that includes field work. So you have to do 3 to 4 years of field work. You have to attain a bachelor's degree. Then you have to get signed off on. You have to go through the application process online. You have to take tests. You have to complete your application. You have to do a security licensing background check. And then when you're done, you can become a PI. And even then, it's just like having a broker if you were a realtor. You have to have somebody above you who's been doing it longer than X amount of years, and they have to employ you. Now, at that point, they have to hire you, and you have to be working for them for a certain amount of time. Did she do that? Let me spoil it for you. Nope. In fact, her application, still to this day, from back then, pending. She never completed it. She didn't even complete the application process. And why is that? Well, it's likely because she didn't pass the criminal background check, or she didn't even get that far. She didn't have her field hours, and she didn't legitimately work for a private investigator. And she definitely did not have a background in criminal justice, nor did she go to school for criminology. She's never taken a crime scene investigations class. She's never worked alongside a department. She tried to get her TOPS licensing. Now, there is one certification you can get through there that allows you to be a mall cop. I do believe she may have accomplished that. Not even proof of that. But it's very interesting because she drops a number when she is talking about this, or when she's listing on her CV. She drops a little number. This is my certification number. Good luck finding any record of her using that number because it doesn't exist. She dropped the number for a certificate for essentially a mall cop clearance. And even that doesn't pop up. It's very concerning. Very concerning. Let's let her continue.
How did that conversation go?
I have a background in investigative reporting, and I've been covering this case, like I said, since when it first was reported. And I became really close friends with the original PI on the case. A few years, I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago, when Clint made his annual circuit to make sure that people are remembering this on the anniversary. I was talking with a statement analysis expert, and he said to me, because of your investigative background, you should really consider getting your PI license. He said, I think that you could take it in a rare turn from an investigative reporting angle and marry that with the PI resources and databases, surveillance techniques, things like that. And he said, I think you could be a unique asset to this case. He said that in front of Clint. We were doing a video with a local news station, and Clint kind of said, yeah, that'd be cool. So you have to meet specific criteria. Be sponsored by a private investigation agency if you haven't owned your own agency for 3 years. Like I said, I was close to the original PI on this case. I reached out to him. He told me to get my 3 years of deep investigative work in. I interned with a couple of PI agencies and got my license in August. And I work for the original private investigator on this case back from 2011.
And then now you've been investigating this since August?
As a PI, yes. As a reporter, as a searcher, back from news, back the day she was reporting.
So you know this from both ends, really. So
I know the original investigators on the case, worked with the original jurisdictions, and I have all of this knowledge from back then. I was a searcher. I was the captain for the Howard County search team with a woman who's now deceased. So I had access to the maps, the search grids. I worked with the search center. I had all of this information and was so frustrated because I could only do so much with it. But now as a PI,
here's what frustrates me. There was no search center. This is Odessa Big Spring area. There's no search center there. That was one of the problems. There's no search center. Also, the agency she's speaking of rebukes this shit. Okay. They did not work with her. I wanted to be sure, so I called them. There were only 2 people that work in that specific department that were around during this time. And both of them said, who the fuck is that?
More access and more abilities to get things done.
what have you gotten done?
A lot. We started with the social media blitz. And I want to make sure that people understand this, because Clint's taking a lot of flack for waiting 8 years. Clint's never waited to get justice for Haley. He stepped out of the way because he was promised an arrest when her remains were found.
I remember Clint at the mall in Midland passing out
Correct.
flyers, and we hear about him.
He'd run to El Paso with bilingual flyers that our stations. He'd come over to KBST. I'd print out 1,000 copies, and he would run down to El Paso because somebody spotted her at the border crossing. Or he was at Odessa Mall passing out flyers when there was a sighting of her.
All right, let's take a moment. All right, let's take a moment because I'm going to show you something. We're going to pause in the middle, all right? And we're going to come back to this. I want to show you the person, one of the people that they're talking about right now. This is a video she made with him, okay? She made a video with this guy. This is Clinton Dunn, okay? This is one of the technically grandparents, I guess, of Haley. Now, it's very shitty quality. But at about 1 minute, we're going to pause it because I want you to hear something. I want you to hear something, okay? I want you to know, first of all, who's filming this video. The person filming this video is Erica Morse, the woman you just saw. Let's let this play. This is her speaking to Clint, filming him, okay? So she can put this shit on the internet. Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up for you. We're going to pause it at 1 minute and play it 1 or 2 times. So I want to make sure you all hear this very clearly. Okay? Let me make sure it's turned up. Here we go.
New information this week. There have been several people that's come forward and stated to us that Billie Jean admitted to.
Billie Jean is the mother of Haley. Billie Jean had no evidence against her. Billie Jean has not been called a suspect officially. Billie Jean has cried a lot and made a lot of terrible decisions in men in her lifetime. And some may have called her in the past a shitty mom, a party animal, all these different things, okay? I feel horrible for this woman. She did make mistakes, but she has never, ever been considered the person who killed her daughter. And there's a reason why her boyfriend at the time was. So to have a grandparent of this little girl saying this shit, or any relative for that matter, very concerning.
Being there when Haley was killed, she confessed to several people, and I know there's more people out there. And I know some of y'all are Billie Jean's family and her friends. And
actually, sorry, I want to pause this for a second. I was just looking at my notes. I believe no. So Clint, I'm sorry, I got him confused with his dad. This is the bio dad. She was with the bio dad at the time. So she's exploiting him. The father, his father, and one of Haley's parents were also at one point, according to this PI lady, according to Erica, tight with her. I do want to apologize. He looks very different from when the investigation started. I got a little confused and was like, I guess she mooched onto the dad now. No, this is the biological dad. I was thinking it was his dad. That's my bad. That all rhymes. That's cool. This is the interview she did with him, with the father of the missing girl. So there's the bio dad, then there's the stepdad, and then there's the mom, Haley. So Haley's ex-husband, this guy. Now we're almost to the point that's important. I just wanted to clarify that. It kind of doesn't matter. She exploits everyone in the family at one point or another, in my opinion. But I just want to clarify that, and I want you to pay very close attention coming up at 1 minute, okay? And yeah, he is rocking a Bob Marley shirt. I feel very bad for this guy, for what he went through with this PI. Let's continue.
I know you're scared, and I know there's threats on people's lives if they talk or if they say anything. But I need everyone to come forward and everyone to contact me that Billie Jean's talked to and that Billie Jean's essentially admitted to being there when Haley was killed.
Did you hear that? Let me go back one more time. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. Did you hear the whisper? Did you hear the whisper? If not, let me crank it.
Was killed. Was killed.
And did nothing to stop it. I want you to listen again. See if you heard that. Yeah, this is the father. She also tried to exploit his father, and they look very similar. Okay, let's try it again. In case you missed it, and did nothing to stop it, is what she whispered. Okay. Why is this important? Why is this important? She loves to do this shit. She loves to put out videos and to tell people what to say. I find this very concerning. This is coaching. This is coaching so that she can put it on her social media, and she's telling him what to say. She's written a script for this man and did nothing to stop it. Is crazy. Is crazy. Not only is she having the dad, okay, make accusations on her behalf and did nothing to stop it, is a tall order, especially when you consider that there have been quite a few people who have made it a point to say Sean was a scary guy. Haley might have been abused. We don't know that yet. Billy might have been abused. We don't know that yet, but we do know that she has spoken out about concerns. At one point, she thought Sean didn't do it and couldn't have done it. But just like a lot of women who get caught in a cycle and who are in denial, she was going through it. She was Asa if Rex was on bail or just completely out and not caught yet. She did have a little bit of that, in my opinion, that whole, but he couldn't have done it. I brought him in. He was, but I loved him. Regardless, that doesn't change the fact that pitting the biological parents against each other and claiming that you're a PI and then coaching one of them while also complaining that you're not getting paid. Very disgusting behavior. And I rebuke that shit. I think it's disturbing. I think it's unprofessional. And that alone could have really fucked her PI license up if she had one. Now let's go back to the video we were watching, the private investigator interview, because it seemed a little like milquetoast, right? Like, well, what's so bad about this, OB? Well, I'll show you. I'll show you, because it goes off the fucking rails in a big way. And it is very disgusting. I'm going to go ahead and let it continue, and I'm going to shut up right now. Let's listen to her talk a little more about her PI licensing. It is exploitative as fuck. It is disturbing, especially when you consider the vulnerable position they are in. They just want answers. They're in a small, small town. I cannot stress enough how tiny this town is. Everyone knows each other. Everyone knows each other. This little girl needed her biological parents to work together to find her. And this woman who claimed to be a PI is coaching the bio dad to make accusations against the bio mom. This is a huge problem. But I digress. Back to the interview we were watching. I just wanted to point that out real quick while we continue. Here we go.
A local news station, and Clint kind of said, yeah, that'd be cool. So you have to meet specific.
Also, one more thing. I had the exact same job she had as an adult when I was 16 years old in high school. I worked for the local radio station in Floresville, Texas. Okay. As a 16-year-old, I was able to get the job she had. And not only that, I looked up her history in radio because I know quite a few radio people here. I used to work for Cox Communications. It became Clear Channel. And eventually I got to know quite a few DJs. Okay. And I met one out of Odessa, Big Spring, who knew her. She worked on remotes, people. She was part of the promotional event crew. What that means is she's the one who drives the van out to a location like a car lot, sets up the mast, and gives away things on behalf of the radio station. She's not a program director. She's not a program manager. She wasn't even really a DJ, if you think about it. She was an errand girl at a radio station who worked in promotions. She called it marketing at one point. Other times she called herself a DJ. Other times she claimed that she was the program director who fielded the news. It really depends on which interview you look at. But I find it fascinating that this is supposed to give her some sort of clout or credibility. Ma'am, I did the same thing when I was 16 years old. You're not impressive. Continue.
Criteria. He's sponsored by a private investigation agency. If you haven't owned your own agency for 3 years, like I said, I was close to the original PI on this case. I reached out to him. He told me to get my 3 years of deep investigative work in. I interned with a couple of PI agencies and got my license in August. And I work for the original private investigator on this case back from 2011.
And then now you've been investigating this since August?
As a PI, yes. As a reporter, as a searcher, back from news, back the day she was reporting.
So you know this from both ends, really. So
I know the original investigators on the case, worked with the original jurisdictions, and I have all of this knowledge from back then. I was a searcher. I was the captain for the Howard County search team with a woman who's now deceased.
She was not.
So I had access.
The captain of the quote unquote Howard County search team. And how convenient that the one person that could vouch for you is dead. Cool.
The maps, the search grids. I worked with the search center. I had all of this information and was so frustrated because I could only do so much with it. But now as a PI, I have more access and more abilities to get things done.
What have you gotten done?
A lot. We started with the social media blitz. And I want to make sure that people understand this because Clint's taking a lot of flack for waiting 8 years. Clint's never waited to get justice for Haley. He stepped out of the way because he was promised an arrest when her remains were found.
I remember Clint at the mall in Midland passing out
Correct.
flyers, and we hear about him.
He'd run to El Paso with bilingual flyers that our stations. He'd come over to KBS. He had print out 1,000 copies, and he would run down to El Paso because he spotted her at the border. Or he was at Odessa Mall passing out flyers when there was a sighting of her at a retail store over there.
Now, if she was
He
a
ran
real
up and down
private
20 for
investigator
years
or
looking
took her criminology classes in Texas, she would have likely known that would have been entirely unnecessary because by 2004, there was already the technology at the border to not only facially scan, but to stop and individually ask people who are of a concern, hey, why are you entering the border? Run their information and find out if they were missing. There was a couple who stole a trailer from a beach and killed 2 people and then tried to go across the border back then. And guess what happened? They were busted. The second a missing persons report goes out in Texas, the Border Patrol are some of the first people to get that information. It has been that way for over 20 years because so many people who commit crimes, who go missing, who are trying to escape a situation, where do they go in Texas? They go to the fucking border. This was unnecessary. It was improper. And if she was a real PI or anybody with any investigative training at all whatsoever or schooling, she would have told the biological father of this poor little missing girl, hey, you don't have to drive 8 hours to give out paper flyers. In fact, if I remember correctly, there was an online campaign that was already going, and she could have saved him a lot of gas, time, and just inconvenience. I find what she's saying to be completely despicable. Just my opinion.
Her. We were told, no body, no arrest. Find her, we can arrest. We found her, or I'm sorry to say, a prison guard found her. A prison guard whom I believe received a tip about the exact location of Haley Dunn's body and drove 40 miles away from his home to find her.
The person who
You know what's interesting? She has weaseled and wormed her way into at least 5 investigations having to do with missing or murdered kids. And you know what's interesting about her is I see the pattern. Delphi made me see it the clearest. When I finally watched the video the other day, I wish I would have seen 6 months ago, because that's when the pattern really hit. What does she have in common with all those cases and what she does? She blames prison guards. She always blames the lead investigators. And she always blames some form of witchcraft or symbolic religious shit. Always. You're going to see her blame a prison guard. She's always going to tell you that these people are too scared to speak out. She's always going to glom onto a relative who is in a vulnerable position. She's always going to shit on the investigators, and she's going to blame small town cops with small town values and, you know, the whole, oh, we got that big boy attitude. Okay? Good old boys is what she likes to say. And not only that, she likes to bring witchcraft, religion, things like Odinism into the picture. She has a ton of sock puppet accounts, and she has a little following. And boy, is she good at weaseling her way into things, into little circles, into situations, into people, into their lives. It's odd how every single case seems to involve a religion or some form of witchery or Wiccanism that she doesn't understand and misexplains. And it's very amazing how it's always one of the most vulnerable people in the family that she likes to glom onto, or in any investigation. She picks a very vulnerable individual, and there's always a prison guard. Always. There's always an issue with a prison guard. She hates guards. I wonder why. Interesting. We'll get to that.
who was reported to have found her was some sort of a rock hound. We were talking.
I can't find anything to support that.
Wasn't he a geologist?
No, he's a prison guard. If he dabbled in arrowheads, which is exactly what he claims to have been looking for,
that's right.
That's fine. That's fine. I want to know how he ended up at those exact coordinates when it had been searched by helicopters and dogs and thousands of searchers, and those searches had been logged. This was such a specific remote area.
I want to know where those thousands of searchers came from, because I was hyper aware of this case. I was following it very, very closely. I spoke to one of the family members myself who actually reached out to me about some data a long time ago. And it's interesting because there weren't thousands of searchers. This is Big Spring, Odessa. At most, there were a couple of hundred. And they had problems with coordinating those search efforts. Here's another thing. They didn't search that area before. They actually missed it. Here's another thing. No one has ever blamed the guy who found the body because he had an alibi and because he's a guy who is very well known for seeking out arrowheads. He really likes anthropology. Let's just say that. He's a fucking nerd. He's a fucking nerd guy. No offense, I'm a nerd. But a guy who's into arrowheads, looking for arrowheads at a lake that is very, very popular for people who are into fucking arrowheads, because there are a lot found there. Finding a body and immediately reporting it and not being from the area, and then also having a fucking alibi. I find it very concerning that she's changing his work history to prison guard. Spoiler alert, he was not.
That for 2.5 years was missed by thousands of people. And I just want to know how he found that.
Do you think he receives this information in prison?
I believe so.
And drove there.
I asked him about it at the memorial service, and he put his head down, turned around, and walked away.
What did you ask him?
I asked him how he found out how he went to that exact location. I said, what in the world were you doing at Lake GB, Tom?
Correction. She freaked out on a stranger and accused him of things he didn't do at a memorial service and embarrassed herself and those around her. Let's continue.
Was looking for arrowheads. And he put his head down and walked away. I mean no ill will against this man. I am so grateful to him for at least Clint doesn't think she's being held somewhere in Odessa being pimped out like it's being.
Oh, that's interesting because you know who put that in Clint's head? You did. You caused that worry in his head. Nobody else thought that. No one else thought she was being pimped out in Odessa. You absolute idiot.
On the internet. And that he had something to do with pimping her out in the oil field. At least
Always
we
knew
know
it
that's
wasn't
not
true. And we knew she
she's
wasn't
not
hooked on
meth.
meth either somewhere. She hated that lifestyle and she was very, very disturbed at the people who did that sort of stuff. She was a good kid. Way to put that on the family, ma'am. Way to turn around and put those thoughts into their head that their little girl was being pimped in Odessa. Something that nobody fucking thought before you came around. Great. What an advocate we got here.
Somewhere being sold off for a drug test. At least he has that knowledge. But we don't know beyond that. We just truly don't know. Sorry, I'm very passionate about this case.
No, ma'am, we do fucking know. We do fucking know that's not true. You know why? Because unfortunately, that poor sweet little girl was dead. And the thing about lividity and the thing about postmortem findings and the thing about, medical examiners is they can tell when a body's been moved and how long it's been there. You know how long it takes for buzzards to collect on or around a body? Pretty well known by temperature, by date, by location. They can even tell you. In fact, we've talked about this before. Sometimes when they want to know what was in the body, like did the little girl ingest meth, which they knew she didn't because of toxicology reports, yet you're sitting here letting us know that at one point in time, that was a big worry for you. Hey, guess what? When you put that idea in the dad's head, okay, did you ever stop to think they'll figure that out? They'll figure that out. One thing they do is the bugs that are on a dead body, they take them and they blend them up in a blender. And then they test the bugs. Why? Because the bugs were eating the body. And they could do toxicology based on what is ingested by the bugs and animals, especially if they're found dead or if they're currently on the body at the time. They know what happened to that little girl. You don't, because you're not an investigator. You're playing cop. And it's embarrassing. And how dare you put that in the family's head and have them worried about that shit when you had nothing to go on but your own fucking delusions. Allegedly for entertainment purposes only.
Tell me, Sean Atkins.
Mm-hmm.
He's here somewhere in Big Spring.
I know where he is. I know where he is.
You also feel that he's the guy.
Interesting. You knew where he was when they were looking for him. A real private investigator would have turned that information in.
I feel that he is. This is really hard to say. I feel that he is one of at least two pieces of a conspiracy. Yes, I believe that he is one of two people who has knowledge of what happened to Haley that day. And it is not our jobs to put the weapon in his hand and prove he's the one who did it. It is only our jobs to prove that he has knowledge of her death, that the maps that were provided to us by law enforcement in 2011, and we were so told to focus in this area because that's
I
where
want
the
to pause it one more time, and then I promise I'll let her go to the end because it's about to get real crazy if it isn't already. I want you to notice another pattern in this one right here. We. And don't worry, Megan, it's all going to make a lot more sense soon. This is a lady who claims to be a private investigator. You'll see why I'm getting in her ass and picking it apart soon. Also, if you're bullied by Megan, please call Morgan and Morgan. They can be of service. I'm sorry. Okay. Happy birthday, Megan. Her birthday was forever ago. The pattern. Notice she says we. They provided us and we. We were given information. They provided us. They never gave her shit. See, what she's doing is a technique. It's making herself inclusive. It's bringing herself in. It's trying to legitimize herself as part of the group. The people who are given the maps and the people who are given the information and the updates and provided with the data that she is interpreting and expelling from her gullet were actually family members, including Clint. When she says we, she should be saying Clint, they, them, the family. She says we as an attempt to bring herself in, to make herself part of the group, part of the family, part of the investigation team. Exactly. Borrowing authority. And you're right. She did do the same thing in Delphi. And boy, she made some powerful friends. Good for her. She's going to need them when she's in jail. For what? Oh, I'll show you soon, because it's not what you think. I digress.
Happened, and I had an investigator look me in the eye and said, I bet you my life she will be found in this square. And she was found in this square, and that square matches the pings heading from Sea City to Big Spring on the old bootleggers roads. It does not take a rocket scientist to figure this out. It does not take a rocket scientist to know that information is being withheld by the prime suspect and mom. And I'm sorry, I know mom's not a suspect, but she was named a person of interest at one point. She's the only person who's ever been arrested in connection with this case, and it's directly for lying to the police.
First of all, ma'am, you are highly misinterpreting what actually happened. And second of all, everyone in the family was considered a person of interest in this case, just to be clear. She definitely has a bit of a vendetta, as you can see.
Police. That's a problem.
She's the second part of this conspiracy?
Correct. I believe that we turned our focus to the witchcraft book this weekend. And the reason that this is coming out is because now we're starting to dig deeper into it. As with most parents in Clint's situation, they loop everything that's happened. All they do.
Okay, now she doesn't give context on this, so I'm going to. Now, if she were good at her fake job, she would have given you the context. But I'll do it for you, since she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. When they searched the house, which Billy, the mother, said, please, by all means. No, she's from Texas and Indiana. She likes to go back and forth. Now, when they first searched Billy's house, which she said, please cross me off your suspect list so that you can find my fucking daughter. What did they find? I'll tell you what they found. They found a lot of books I have on serial killers, crime. They found a lot of stuff on paganism. All right. They found crystal books. Okay. Do you understand? Where's Sherlock Holmes? Crystals. Now, when I see a crystal book on someone's shelf, I go, oh, great. They're going to ask me if I'm a Leo or what my horoscope sign is. And I get annoyed immediately. However, I also think, well, good. They're not going to murder me. They're into energy, and crystals seem pretty harmless. Whatever. When I see a witch book, if I see, I don't know, the Witch's Handbook or Necronomicon, I think, oh man, they used to be goth. I wonder if they like the Smiths. I wonder if they enjoy Morrissey. If I see the Anarchist Cookbook, I go, ooh, do you hack? Even though it has really nothing to do with hacking, it's funny how many hackers do have the Anarchist Cookbook. Very amusing. It's because they used to do a thing with diskettes when we were in high school that the book taught you how to do, and it was very bad. You shouldn't do it. However, nobody really thinks about Stevie Nicks like they should, do they? It's not fair. So what does she do? She finds out that there was a book in the house about witches. So naturally, whoever owns that book must have fucking done it. That just shows you how good of a PI she is. Yeah, don't look at my bookshelf. I must have done it. Tombstones must have done it. Look at her name. This woman she's going on empty, but she's pretending she has a full tank. And it is fascinating. Let's continue. So, oh, by the way, yeah. So, long story short, the mother of the girl had a book on witches. One more interesting thing about it. Do you remember those? Do you remember the little studs, the little silver studs you could buy at Hot Topic and you could put on your jacket and pretend you were Rob Halford or something? Like the punk rock studs. So the Witch's Handbook, the specific one that she's about to tell you about, it's such a cheesy goofball thing. Actual people who think they're actual witches or Wiccans, they don't even fuck with this book anymore because they made a studded outside of it. So it's a black shiny book with little like stud imprints so that when you run your finger across it, it's like you're running them across punk rock studs. That's how goofy and cheesy this shit is, okay? Now to her, this is surely the signs of a murder. Don't call me Shirley. I will let her continue.
While the rest of us can turn off at night and maybe sit down and watch a TV show, they can't. If a CSI drama comes on or an NCIS or something like that, that parent is looking at that from their standpoint. Okay, how would this investigator handle it? How was the body found? How? Oh my God, is this what happened to Haley? Is this what happened to Haley? Is this what's happened to Haley? That's how they do it. That's how they think. And I know this from spending thousands of hours with Clint.
Thousands of hours? No, you didn't. That is ridiculous. No, you didn't. Second, that is not how an investigator works. And I find it interesting that she's using distancing language. She's saying they about investigators. They. Why? Because she forgot to include herself. Because subconsciously she knows she's lying.
The big thing is when a parent is replaying that, they start to remember pieces that they hadn't remembered earlier. Or it sparks a conversation that results in an answer I had never heard before. And when we talked about that book the other day, and we started talking about it with a couple of the former searchers, I can't believe we missed this, but a searcher said to me, what was the name of the book? Great question. I've been doing investigative reporting for 30 years, and I didn't ask that. I missed one.
Pause it right here. Let's go back to our little timeline I started, okay? And I actually have one of these all typed out, but I want to do it together. I feel like we'll all get the point better if we do it together. 2010, literally 9 minutes ago in this interview, I started looking at the Haley Dunn case in 2010. That was her first case. What did you just say, ma'am? What did you just say? Because you worked in radio, okay? And this interview was 6 years ago. So this is 2019. So in 2010, 9 years before, was when you first started investigating your first case. That's interesting because what did you just say right now?
I've been doing investigative reporting for 30 years and I didn't.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Because when I did your background check free publicly, thanks to open source intelligence, you weren't even living in Texas 30 years ago. In fact, you weren't working at that radio. You were not a reporter. And that was your first case. That was 9 years ago. Where does 30 come into play? You were a bit young to be doing that 30 years ago. Huh. So if this is 2019, 30 years before that would be what? 89. So since 1989, 99, 2009, 29. Yeah. So 1989, she became an investigative reporter. Woohoo, girl. Woohoo. Interesting. What a fun timeline we're building. Let's continue.
Ask that. I missed one. What's the name of the book? So we sat down for 2 hours, went through Amazon and found the book. And
pause it. I'm not going to let her bitch ass finish.
Now we downloaded
allegedly for entertainment purposes only. Let's stop sharing this for a second. Okay. It took us 2 hours to find the book. She still hasn't told you the name of it yet, which is fascinating. What a choice. Because if you really wanted to get the word out, you would just say it. In fact, she said, I don't even know the title of this book. And I've spent all this time, thousands of hours with Clint. I never thought to go back to the beginning I never thought it took them 2 hours. Let's go ahead and actually, you know what? I'm going to let her continue. Let's let her continue because I want her to describe it to you. Okay. She's going to describe it to you. And then I'm going to show you how long it takes to pull this bad boy up. Very fascinating. For a private investigator, wow, 2 hours, huh? Let's get the name of it real quick.
The book, and we're pouring through it. True investigative reporting for 30 years, and I didn't ask that. I missed one. What's the name of the book? So we sat down for 2 hours, went through Amazon, and found the book. And now we've downloaded the book, and we're pouring through it, trying to find out the significance of 27th and 28th of December. What significance does that have in the world of witchcraft? What significance does it have when you have this book, a purple rug with a pentagram on it, and I hate to say it, the potential sacrifice of a child? We don't.
Did you get that? Did you get that? The potential sacrifice of a child? A purple rug with a pentagram on it? This book? This witch book? Yeah. Why that date? Why December 27th and 28th? Let's continue.
Know specifically what happened in those walls. But I do know that the current DA's investigator did everything he could to make sure those walls literally and physically came down. They demolished the home where Haley was last seen alive. And I believe they made a big mistake when they did it.
By the way, the reason she did bring up those dates, because she's not going to tell you. She's not very good at what she does. December 27th is when Haley went missing. Okay? December 27th. There was a what do you call it? New Year's party at her house, which is the highly inappropriate thing that her mother did, and that the biological father was upset about. I don't agree with that. I thought that was a terrible choice. However, she did that. Now, potential sacrifice of a child. Pardon, ma'am? Pardon? Interesting. Let her continue.
I think that valuable evidence was lost. And I think with the advancement of technology, that they could have gone back today or next week or next month and found something that they had missed years ago, and that it cannot be used at trial. And that scares me.
What's the name of the book?
You okay with that? It's called A Witch's.
Are you okay with that? She asks.
It's called A Witch's Bible.
There it is. The Witch's Bible. This took her 2 hours to look up on Amazon. I'm going to go back again. I want to hear that one more time, what she's saying, and then we're going to look it up ourselves.
Found something that they had missed.
Because I want you to hear what she says about the book. I want you to hear what she says. She said it took hours to download it. Okay, hours. Let's continue.
Find out the significance of 27th and 28th of December. What significance does that have in the world of witchcraft? What significance does it have when you have this book, a purple rug with a pentagram on it, and I hate to say it, the potential sacrifice of a child? We don't know specifically what happened in those walls. But I do know that the current DA's investigator did everything he could to make sure those walls literally and physically came down. They demolished the home where Haley was last seen alive. And I believe they made a big mistake when they did it. I think that valuable evidence was lost. And I think with the advancement of technology, that they could have gone back today or next week or next month and found something that they had missed years ago, and that it cannot be used at trial. And that scares me.
What's the name of the book?
You okay with that? It's called A Witch's Bible.
That's the name of the book.
Yes. It's a black book with a circular, you'll be able to see it.
This is the book that Haley, Bill took to a friend and had her hide.
Just like science does. We always have to allow for a 0.2% threshold of inaccuracy. Clint was very specific in describing the book to me before I ever pulled up Amazon. I didn't want to taint his brain. So I asked him for a description of the outside cover and what he recalled seeing inside the book, because he flipped through it. What is this? Oh my God, this is disgusting. He said he recalled very specific pictures, black and white pictures of people having orgies, people doing sacrifices, people at altars.
Okay, let's pause it right there. Let's pause it right there. Because it's time for a lesson. Let's go over some of the things she said. It's very important to debunk the little things so that you can see the bigger bullshit. Okay? Couple things about this book. Clint described it to me. Okay. What did he say? There are pictures, graphic pictures, horrible pictures of what? Black and white orgies. Orgies. She says Billy gave this book away to someone, to not even gave away. She took it to a friend to have them destroy it, get rid of it, hide it. I don't know why she's saying that. I don't know what her point is. Because here's the thing. Billy kept all her books and all of her shit, and then she moved out of that house because she was being harassed, and she ended up giving a bunch of her stuff away. It wasn't a situation where before the search, she took the book out and gave it to someone and said, destroy it. They got pictures of the house. They had a search warrant. They were able to, she let them in, but they ended up coming back. I think they did maybe 2 searches on 2 different areas. But regardless, the police are well aware of her book collection. When they covered this case on 48 Hours or Dateline, one of those, they showed pictures of the books. They actually asked her about it. She had it then. It was well known. Now let's go check out this book, okay? Let's check out this book. It took her hours to find this fucking thing, okay? It took her hours to find a witch's Bible. All right, I just typed it in right now to Google. Let me get rid of that tab and open a new one so we can just go through it step by step together. We'll type it in right in front of you in case because she's the type of person, and the people who follow her are the type of people to go, well, how do we know you didn't already have it there? How do we know that you didn't already have it pulled up and ready to go? Here we go. A witch's Bible. Oh, there you go. The book with the pentagram on the front. That is black. And it is in black and white. It took her hours to find that. Fascinating. Fascinating how it took you hours. Now, here's something really interesting. She said it took them hours to download it again off Amazon. That's very interesting because when I downloaded it, it took 2 minutes. Here's another interesting thing. You don't even have to download it off Amazon because you can just do this. Type it, and you can do this with a lot of books. Type in PDF, okay? And then you can get it all for free. Like right here, A Witch's Bible. Free PDF, boom. Okay? So this is a book for Wiccans or whatever it says. Let's continue. What is that, 55 pages? It's going to take a minute to load. So let's go ahead and look through this book. Let's see these orgies, okay? Let's see these orgies. Where are the orgies? Where are the orgies? Where are the orgies? I see poems. Oh, here, let me share this tab instead. Sorry about that. Here it is. This is the Witch's Bible. Now, stop me when you see the orgies. Stop me when you see the orgies. It's 55 pages. She also said it's thousands of pages and it's taking them a while to read it. It's 55. It's 55. Here we go. We're still going. Stop me when you see an orgy. Please. This might take a moment. It's not going to take hours. So far, it's taken, 48 seconds? So we continue. We're going down. Oh, what's that? I don't see any orgies. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, wow. It's like the script from The Fucking Craft with Fairuza Balk. Oh, what? Wait, where are all the scary pictures? Where are the orgies that you saw? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. Wow. There's no pictures in the book. No, see, there are no images in the book. And I wanted to be sure. So I checked out the tiny one because there's a few different copies of the Witch's Bible. Guess what? All of them don't have pictures. Not a single one of them under a Witch's Bible has pictures. None of them. That's kind of weird, isn't it? Isn't it weird? Let's go back to this. Here we go. The Witch's Bible, a complete Witch's Handbook, even on Wayback Machine is available. Let me see. Nope, it's the same copy. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I can show you specifically. I can show you all kinds of stuff. Here we go. I'm going to put this in the chat. Here you go. This is how you can see it on the Wayback Machine. All right. And there are quite a few free PDF copies. Now, I want to read to you the back of this book real quick. Let me read to you the back of this book because it does have the word sex on it. Not going to lie to you. Everything you need to know is here. The Sabbats, casting and banishing the magic circle, the complete book of shadows, the great rite, initiation rites, consecration rites, spells, witches' tools, witchcraft and sex, running a coven. Guys, I need you to get on this. Clairvoyance and astral projection, which I find extremely annoying, but if you want to project astrally, it is your right as a United States citizen. Now, here's the thing. This book, not thousands of pages. Did that take us many hours? No. Took a couple of seconds to pull it all up. Here's what's also interesting. If you go through on all the PDF versions, which I did, we're not going to do that. It takes too long for that. That took like an hour, and we just don't have that kind of time. But I gave you the link. I encourage you to do it yourself. Use CTRL-F, all right, as in fuck this lady. She sucks. CTRL-F, okay, and then go in, all right, and I want you to type in child sacrifice or just the word children. And you show me anywhere in that book where it tells you to sacrifice a fucking kid or how to do it. I challenge you. I will Venmo you $50 if in this book you can find that. Because here's the thing. It doesn't fucking say that anywhere. This is a very misleading woman. Very misleading. So just to be clear, what was it that you saw in this book, ma'am, that took you hours to download that you still haven't read all the way through? I'm really going to shut the fuck up now, and I'm just going to we're going to let her go till the end because I have so much more to show you. And wow, if you can't stand her now, just wait a minute. And by the way, the goal isn't to get you to hate this woman. Don't bother her. Don't fucking freak out on her. Don't harass her. Don't call her names. Just don't listen to any of the bullshit she says and take it seriously. And when you see people propping her up, maybe let them know they should look into their sources before expounding upon what their source says. Because you may be being fed a bit of shit too.
Billy took to a friend and had her destroy or hide?
We work off of yes and no. We work off of probabilities just like science does. We always have to allow for a 0.2% threshold of inaccuracy. Clint was very specific in describing the book to me before I ever pulled up Amazon. I didn't want to taint his brain. So I asked him for a description of the outside cover and what he recalled seeing inside the book because he flipped through it. What is this? Oh my God, this is disgusting. He said he recalled very specific.
I know this isn't very funny, and I did interrupt her again. Fucker. Listen, it is funny. I like none of the case is funny. Here's what's funny to me. A person flipping through a book of words with no pictures that says, in order to gain an incantation upon your ritualistic choice of beacon or what they call it like a beacon or something, like a person that you're, if you want to do a spell on someone, you have to attain a passage to the north, the south, the east, and the west, and all this shit. And they're looking at it going, oh my God, it's disgusting. That's very funny to me. Like, what the fuck? It's words, bitch. Shut up.
Pictures, black and white pictures of people having orgies, people doing sacrifices, people at altars.
Nope. Didn't.
I found the cover first, and then we went through the book, and he found the pictures. It was when we found the pictures that he said, this has got to be it. This is it. This looks exactly like what I recall. So I answer that with a 99.8% level of certainty, and also knowing, in all fairness, that that book has multiple reprints. So the 1987 version may be a little bit different than the 1996 version. So, but basically it's a small.
You know what's funny? It does have reprints, but you know what's funny? It doesn't change. They added a forward. That's it. Oh, the forward must be where all the orgies are. Spoiler alert, guys. No, it's not. Continue.
All black book that has a circle and a pentagram on the front. It's called A Witch's Bible. That was the book that was taken and hidden from police.
In that book, what is the significance of those days?
How did she take it from police? How did she take it? Because they locked down the house. They got the search warrant. They took pictures. It was on fucking Dateline, ma'am.
We're still going through it. We had to download the Kindle version, so it takes a little bit longer, and it's about 5,000 pages on Kindle.
Oh, I'm sorry. What?
5,000
pages. Now, in case you guys are wondering, hey, are you sure maybe you weren't just looking at the wrong book? The only one that matches the description she gave or that has that title is the one we just looked at. It's 55 pages. 55 pages. And it, even in 2010, which is not when she's talking about, I think she's talking about like 2014. No, it's not 5,000. It's not 5,000. It's 55. And even back then, shit, even with fucking dial-up and a dot matrix printer, I could fucking print that shit faster. Should we do it? Should I go get one at Goodwill? And should we do it? We don't really need to, because trust me, it gets worse. It gets worse. If you don't believe me now, not to trust everyone, it gets worse. She'll show you. I don't need to show you. She'll show you. Here we go.
When we were pouring over it this weekend, we got up into about the end of December and then realized that like it was still downloading. So, I mean, I kid you not, we're in the process of trying to get that. It may seem strange request, but if
this book took them 4 years to download and they're still not done. Ma'am, are you using a compact Presario from 1989? What the fuck are you talking about?
There is anybody who claims to dabble in witchcraft, black, magic. I don't want to interview them for kicks. I want to interview them for answers. I want to know if there was some type.
Shout outs to anybody in the chat who is a Wiccan or into witchcraft. She really wants to interview you.
Of significance to the wax gibbous moon being at 68% on December 27th of 2010. I want to know what the significance was of this purple pentagram rug. If there is a sacrifice involved or some type of demonic part involved in this that has to do with sacrificing one's child to show one's love. This is so far outside the realm of what I know.
I was going to say, I mean, that is just
sick.
A mother and her boyfriend sacrificing a child?
Okay. That's a tall order. Now, this is where it cuts out. And oddly, the second half, I don't think they posted it. If anybody has the second half of this interview, please send it to me. Maybe I'm the fucking fraud for not being able to find it. It must be on me. I mean, if you have it, please send it to me. I'd love to see what she says. Unfortunately, that one's kind of down. I don't know. Maybe she said something crazy. They don't even know the book, Noelle. They don't even fucking know what, like, 5,000 pages? The significance of purple is it's a badass color. Here's the thing. The rug in question that she's talking about, it has a star on it. Clearly this woman killed her kid because she has a rug with a star on it. You could get that rug on, I mean, today you can get it on Temu. Back then, I believe it was available at Claire's, at Hot Topic, at Spencer's. It's still downloading. It must be still downloading. This is so wild to insinuate a child sacrifice and to be a PI at all. Like, to insinuate that. Now, the great news is she's not a PI. The other great news is no one in their right mind who is would actually do that. Okay. They would take a step back and go, this is fucking nuts. This is not the 80s. We are not in West Memphis, Arkansas, ma'am. You don't have to behave like that. You can just be a normal human and you can look at things and interpret them normally. What is normal? The standard, the status quo for criminal investigation. Now, you would know that if you were trained. You would know that if you would have dropped out of criminology school. You would still know that, because I know a girl who dropped out of one of my classes and she still knows that, and she didn't even finish. But you didn't even go. So you don't know that shit. There are plenty of people on this channel who never went and they know better. They fucking know better. Why don't you know better? You know what? Let's stop there with her in that interview, because you get where I'm going with this, right? You get where I'm going with this. Let me show you something else. Let me show you something else that I find very fascinating and interesting. Yeah, the Texas flag is very, very demonic. It's very demonic. Be careful. There's a lot of stars on it. And anytime you see a lot of stars, child sacrifice, obviously. This woman is acting like she's in the Denver airport and I can't handle her. Okay, she's too much for me. She's too much to take on. Or is she? No, she's not. Let's go ahead and show you something else. Now, this is the same page. Okay, so this is the Big Country homepage. Remember how I told you when I was in high school, I worked for a radio station? Even that's kind of crazy. A lot of people didn't believe me in my own high school. And then when they heard me on the radio, they went, oh my God, you did? Well, how did I get that job? My boyfriend at the time, okay, his dad owned the radio station. And he's like, we need someone to come in on Sunday mornings for gospel hour. And then we need someone 4 hours a week to just come in, spin some records, just play something. People out here don't like to talk. I'm having a hard time filling the position. People don't want to be on the radio. That's how small this town was. Everybody's shy and shit. No one wants to. I was like, I'll fucking do it. He goes, really? You would? I said, sure. He walked me through it. This was fun. Story time. I used to play that song, write this down, take a little note to remind you in case you didn't know. I think it was Clint Black. Anyway, I would play that song on loop just to see if my boss was paying attention. I played it 4 times in a row once before someone finally called into the station for the first time in 6 years. And they were like, could you play it again? And then I just laughed. Like, that's how these small towns work, okay? Anybody can get a fucking job doing what she's doing. I'll prove it. Look at this young man. Look at this young man. He's doing a raw interview. He's working for Big Country homepage, all right? Now this, I'm not going to shit on this channel. They have 1,000 more subs than I do. Good for them. Love Big Country homepage. I actually watched a bunch of their videos. This young man came out and did an interview with Erica Morse 2 years later. Same private investigator 4 years ago, okay? So the interview we just saw was 6 years ago. This one's 4 years ago. Now, I am going to put it on 1.25 because while he has a lovely speaking voice, and I hope that this young man has a great future ahead of him in media, hers is grating on my soul, okay? So I'm going to put it on 1.25, all right? And I want you to hear this is 4 years ago, because if you think she got quit, no, she ain't got no quit. She's never giving up on this grift. Let me show you something. This is wild.
Okay. All right, are you ready?
I am.
All right, so could you say and spell your first and your last name for me first?
That's right. That bitch got a haircut. That's why we're here. I'm just kidding. Big news. She got a haircut. Does Texas still have big hair? It does. She's going against the grain here. Okay. She's going against the grain. Now, here's the thing. The Haley Dunn case did not go well for her. Sean Atkins ended up getting out because of technicalities with the court and the prosecution. She made no headway. She contributed in no positive way, if anything, in a very negative way. Okay. And she had to move on eventually. She had to move her grift and take it elsewhere. Would you be surprised if I told you she moved to Delphi, Indiana? LaPorte, I believe, is the town specifically. Would you be surprised to hear that she moved up there and she made really good friends with quite a few people in that town? She moved up there because she has a history in Indiana. She'd lived there before. But when she saw the Delphi case break big, she said, wow, I should really take this to the top. Now, would you be surprised if I told you that during the Haley Dunn case, she was brought on to be an analyst on a panel with a little channel called Court TV. And even though it didn't go well for her, and even though everything she said was wrong, would it surprise you if I told you they kept her in their back pocket for quite a while until the Delphi case? This is 4 years ago. Check this shit out.
It's Erica Morse, ERICAMORSE.
And what's your title with the case?
I'm the private investigator.
And how long have you been with this case?
As a reporter from day one, as an advocate for about 5 or 6 years, as a PI since August of 2018.
Okay, so you've been following the case.
Pause it there. Let's go back to our timeline, shall we? Now, I know that this is grading, but we have to do this because this is how timelines work. Let's go back to what she said. And don't worry, I have it written down. All the things this bitch said, all the things she said going through my head. Let me pull out another note card because this one says a lot. Okay. Yeah, the timeline doesn't jive, and you haven't even written it down, have you? And even you know that. Just do the math in your head. It doesn't really make sense. So in 1989, according to her, she became an investigative reporter in the last interview. In 2010, she started working the Haley Dunn case, right? Okay, so what did she say again?
Since August of 2018.
Okay, so you've been
let's go
following
back
the
a
case
little
for quite-
further.
And what's your title with the case?
I'm the private investigator.
And how long have you been with this case?
She is the private investigator. Now, in the last one, she said, I was helping and working for the private investigator. So 2 years later, now she was the private investigator. Is the private investigator. That's interesting. Let's keep going.
As a reporter from day one.
So that would be 2010. So day one for the Haley Dunn case was 2010, right? So that's when she started on it, and that's when she became a reporter. So that's interesting. So if day one is 2010, according to her, that's when it is. She became an investigative reporter. Now, here's what's interesting. 30 years ago, when I became an investigative reporter, is what she said last time. So we have 1989, she became an investigative reporter, and now we have 2010, she became an investigative reporter. That's interesting. Let's keep going.
As an advocate for about 5 or 6 years.
So this is 4 years ago. So if it were, 4 years, so 2019 was the last video. So this is 2021. So 5 years ago would have been 2016, and 2015 would have been 6 years ago. So she became an advocate 5 years after becoming a reporter. So 2015 or 16, that's when she became an advocate. Now, here's the thing about advocates in Texas. If you are a certified victims advocate, you have to do that through the Texas DPS, the state, and your specific jurisdiction. That is actually a real title. And just like private investigator, you're not allowed to use it in the context she's using it unless you have some sort of background or certification in victims advocacy. Now, if she's talking about on a public media level, like I'm here for the victims, I'm here for the families, like, okay, I can understand that. But she says she became a victim's advocate. So she wasn't advocating for the victim for the first 5 years she was on the case as a PI, right? Okay, so that makes no fucking sense to me, but let's let her continue just to be polite.
As a PI since August of 2018.
Okay, so as a PI since August of 2018. So August of 2018, that's when she became a PI. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Because she said she was acting as a PI in 2010. Eight years before. Okay.
Okay, so you've been following the case for quite some time now. When did you first hear that the arrest had been made?
I think it was around 4:30. About 4:30 this afternoon. I received a call from a city official in Big Spring telling me that Sean Adkins had just been booked into the Howard County Jail on a charge of murder. I instantly called Haley's father, Clint, and told him what I had been told. And he said, I had a feeling today was going to be the day. And I told him obviously to listen or watch for any calls coming in from West Texas. I met with him about an hour later, and he said he had missed a call from the Mitchell County District Attorney's Office from the Victims Advocate Department. And he tried to call back and couldn't reach the advocate. So although they're not confirming at this time, based on what happened this afternoon, kind of the way things went down, and based on a meeting we had last month with the Mitchell County District Attorney, we are 99% confident that this is related to Haley.
Okay. I found that to be very interesting because a city official is not allowed to do that to a private citizen. They're not allowed to do that. That would be the family. They alerted the victim's advocate would also not reach out to her. They would reach out to the family. And I find it interesting that she mentioned a victim's advocate and them confirming or not confirming with the family when she claims to be a victim's advocate. I would think she would be the one doing that. But okay, here's another interesting thing. Not only was he booked into the jail, there had already been multiple news stories out about that, and they're actually on my playlist. We can watch them later. So it's shocking to me that she had just found out when it had been all over the fucking news. But okay.
Okay, yeah. And so what was yours and Clint's, for that matter, what was y'all's initial reaction upon hearing the news?
I think shock would be an understatement. All I could say was we got him. We got him.
We got him.
Clint.
We got him. That's interesting because you blamed Billy for so many years. You blamed Billy for 9 to 11 years. And now here you are saying, we got him. We got him. Weren't you just blaming the guy who found the arrowheads a minute ago? And didn't you say that the girl was sacrificed by her parents? Okay.
And of course, having been kind of up and down and having been promised arrests in the past.
No,
I don't want to say skeptical. He's just at the point of, I want to see it, hear it, confirm it, myself.
And turn on the
I'm already, ready to pop the champagne, metaphorically.
Turn on the
So what had your thoughts on Sean been throughout this investigation and even in your time as a reporter? What were your thoughts towards him?
Well,
but you're not a reporter, man. You're a private investigator now, and you're a victim's advocate, and you fucking make waffle fries, and you're the president, and you are an expert in witches, and you're a lead investigator, and you're the family, right? You're all these other things. Or are you that too? It's funny you should say that. It's actually sad, but it is also funny that you say that because you're absolutely right. She did make more victims, and they're not all the humankind. We'll get there soon.
The information led, as I became an advocate and into a PI, it became pretty clear that Sean Adkins was behind.
Wait, you became an advocate and then turned into a PI? Because on our timeline, you became the PI and then an advocate and then back to PI and reporter. But okay.
Haley's disappearance and ultimately her death.
You know, Peggy O, permission to put that on a shirt. That is actually brilliant. I love you so much, Peggy O. Thank you for being here and for giving us the tagline of the century. All those bitches are weird. They are. She's fucking weird. She's fucking weird. I'm allowed to say that, right? Allegedly for entertainment purposes only. This bitch is fucking weird. This is weird and bad behavior. And put your fucking tits away while you're talking about the dead kid, lady.
It's just, there's a lot to work with.
There's not a lot to work with.
To just one
There's
piece of
not a lot to work with, and that's the problem, and that's why he was let out. Because even though that motherfucker did it, there's not a lot to work with. And there's not a lot to work with on that case because of you, bitch. Which I don't say with love. For entertainment purposes only. Allegedly, you bitch. Jesus.
evidence. This is a story. This is a narrative that will clearly lay out and define, I think, what happened in those days leading up to Haley's disappearance and the days after, and probably the subsequent few months.
Really? Because it seems like you had no fucking clue what happened to her when you were blaming everyone but the guy who just went to jail for it right before you did this interview. And you know what I find funny is she's like, we're working on confirming it. Why do you think that teenage boy asked you the question? Because he knew. Because he fucking knew. How did he know? How did he know if you haven't confirmed it? How did this child doing the job you did as an adult know? Gee, I don't know. Maybe because it was all over the fucking news and you weren't paying attention, Miss PI.
So, in your opinion, as an investigator,
I'm getting mad.
Sorry, we had to adjust that camera.
Oh, okay.
Also, the fact that she adjusted the camera so the kid can see her tits better is disturbing. Second of all, I really like the way he said that. I don't think he intended shade. He seems like a sweet boy, but listen to how he said this. He said, as an investigator, like, let me take all your fake jobs and let me ask you from the perspective of this fake job.
So, in your opinion, as an investigator,
Sorry, we had to adjust that camera.
Oh, okay, making sure. So, in your opinion, as an investigator, knowing that the arrest has been made, what does this change about what we know about the case?
I don't know that it actually changes much about what the public already knows, because what the public has been told thus far is that the only person of interest, and at one point he was actually named a suspect, was always Sean Atkins.
Oh, that's interesting because we just watched an interview where you blamed the mom, Billy. That's interesting. Lead investigator, Inspector Gadget, Big Tits Ho. Hey, here's the thing. You said it was Billy. So what do you mean we've always been? This is interesting. So you've been told that and you still went for Billy? Wow, your own words are really crushing you, tits.
Clint Dunn has been told pretty much from the very beginning that Sean was behind this, no questions asked. And it was a matter of connecting the dots.
And look, I don't want to disrespect tits. All right. We all have big fun bags or little fun bags or no fun bags. Some of them, they're sad bags, and it's okay. I'm mad at her tits right now. Okay. Because her tits are in my face and she's talking about a child who was found murdered, who she pointed the finger at the child's mom. And Tits is sitting here telling me, as she talks to another child with her tits out and her brain hidden, pull your fucking brain out, ma'am. Can I see your brain? Yeah, and then case manager, not lead investigator, Hope 8 Fear, child of the month. Cult member of the month. They like to call us a cult. This bitch is a fucking cult. You are cult member of the month, officially, for noticing that. Thank you for paying close attention to this heathen's words, allegedly, for entertainment purposes only, for tits words. Thank you for paying. It's hard to pay attention with so much tits in my face. She's making tits look bad.
there might be other people who
Oh!
deserve to be behind bars relating to
Oh, okay. So now we're gonna get into her blaming the mom again, even though okay, cool.
this case. I think the public has its own opinions of who
I love
that
you
person
guys.
or those people might be.
I love you guys, and I love all humans. I would have loved her if she wasn't saying such stupid shit out of her tits and her face. But I can't. How do you? This woman needs love from a smart individual who's going to culture her, or just like teach her how to not be tits with a loud mouth and bad ideas. Okay, she needs help. But instead, I guess YouTube is in. I mean, I don't know, people who have more clout than me, let's just say that. They're not in that era yet. Okay? They're still in the enabling era. And we'll get to that too.
But I think that Mr. Dunn and I have actually different viewpoints on that. A case like this.
Oh, what's that? What's that again? Clint threw your tits to the wayside? I wonder why, ma'am. I wonder why. Maybe it's because you've been wrong on everything and you're not who you say you are and you were asking for money. And you're not legally supposed to do that in Texas because you're not a PI, ma'am.
That seems like a slam dunk the whole time. Should not take 10 years to solve or to bring to an arrest. There are a lot of questions that need to be asked in the next few days as to why it took so long for this case to result in an arrest. And I am hoping that people in the press ask those questions. There is a lot that I want to say right now. There is a lot that I shouldn't say right now.
Jesus Christ, Peggy, you're on a roll. They need to remove warning labels and allow natural. Oh my God. Fuck.
But you don't get away with this type of crime for 10 years without help.
Holy shit.
No.
You do get away with it for 10 years. Some people get away with it for 40 or 50 without help. We've actually seen it over and over and over again. There's this show, ma'am. It's called Unsolved Mysteries. Heard of it?
Would you pose?
I would ask you guys to look into his relationships, his friendships, perhaps any familial ties to.
Oh, what's that? You're rallying the public to fuck with a case the day they solve it and find the guy? Wow, you sound like you're contributing a lot to something that really doesn't need the meddling. Cool.
Law enforcement. And I think you guys need to ask Scurry County why they didn't move on this case for 7 years, why they took it away from it.
I do find it funny that she's accusing a county that is called Scurry of not hustling fast enough. That I will give her that. That's pretty funny.
County, when Mitchell County was ready to prosecute back in 2013 when Haley was found, and why that case was taken away by a neighboring jurisdiction and sat for 7.5 years.
Well, it's because they actually had more resources, ma'am. And because they're doing what the public wants them to do. See, here's the thing about Texas is we have this thing called Texas Rangers. And they're like our FBI. It's like GBI or TBI, the Bureau of Investigations that is not the FBI. However, Texas Rangers work directly with the FBI and the Secret Service to process extractions on phones, to handle kidnapping, trafficking cases. I believe it's acts of terrorism as well. Murders and kidnappings are actually fairly new in the zeitgeist of the entirety of since the Texas Rangers started. They initially were not for that, just like the Secret Service. Its job was initially to protect the president. But now, when it comes to certain cases, depending on exactly what they are and if they fit the requirements, then Texas Rangers, FBI, Secret Service, they'll step in, particularly in cases involving child trafficking, child sex crimes, CSAM, kidnapping, and murder. So with that said, and don't worry, you two bad actors, we are going to get to that page and I will show them. What happened? What had happened was they had to move the case to a different jurisdiction for a couple of reasons. It's a little thing called conflict of interest. It's a small town. People know each other. Accusations were being made. You're not doing enough. Well, we don't have the resources. Everyone here's related. Billy and her boyfriend called the cops fucking constantly. And so did the dad. They all called the cops on each other so goddamn much. And all the cops went to high school with them. So at that point, it's like we need to kick it up to a bigger jurisdiction that has more fucking people working at it, better resources, more money, and people who don't know anybody in this town, just to make sure we can get this solved with a good hard conviction that's not going to get flipped, overturned, dismissed, or what ended up happening, which is Sean getting released because they didn't have enough to convict him. That's important, okay? But she likes to cause conspiracies. She likes to cause friction. She likes to change the direction of cases, and she doesn't give a fuck which direction it is, as long as she has a following. And here's the thing about her. She wants to make that weird. Okay. She wants to make it weird that they asked for help, that they took it to an outside jurisdiction, that they allowed in others to take a look at the case. Holy shit. And no, Texas Rangers are actually ran by the Texas DPS. They're the state police here. They are the state police. Can your tits hang low? Do they walk? That's a great one. Yeah, just like Canton did in KR. And you know what's interesting? Just like I see happening all over again in Delphi. And you know what's also interesting? If you go look back at a lot of the, I'm not even going to say conspiracies, at a lot of the theories, because I respect you guys, and I know a lot of you guys might believe this too. If you want to know where some of those theories came from, the anti, or the Richard Allen didn't do it theories, you're looking at her. Goddamn right. And don't worry, this is going to be a multi-part series. So I'll show you exactly where if you don't believe me. Don't worry. We'll get there.
Years until her father and I finally had to get signatures on a petition to move it back to Mitchell County. And, this case started in Mitchell County. It should be tried in Mitchell County, or at least by the Mitchell County prosecutor. And that is the community that lost that little girl. And
yeah, and that prosecutor is actually related to someone involved in the case. So I'm afraid they can't. And if you were a real PI, you would know that.
That is the community that looked for that little girl. So they deserve answers. And quite frankly, I am tired of being told that we cannot give them. And I think that West Texas needs to know what went on. And I think they need to know how badly and how poorly her father was treated.
So you think this case has been particularly frustrating compared to others you've been a part of?
Every case is frustrating. Every case has its own set of challenges.
Just to clarify, she was one of many. There are quite a few. I'll show you in a minute some, because there's so many. It started with a couple of people. She was one of them. And then it grew and it grew and it grew. She came over to the Delphi case. She had 17 sock puppet accounts that I could uncover. At least 6 of them were early on pressing conspiracies that were shared by somebody who at the time was very well known to put out information. And for some reason, people believed it and respected it. Okay. And that information would all of a sudden become a huge talking point. In fact, she had the opportunity to say it to the whole nation, all of the weird little theories in her head. And trust me, she did. You might have seen it. You don't recognize her now because every couple of years she changes her entire look. And I think that's for a reason. It's usually when she's ran out of town after milking money or attempting to get money. Some people are smart enough not to pay her. But after trying to get money from families that she's exploiting, she eventually leaves and she moves on to her next grift. The victim's name is Haley Dunn. She was a young girl who was a cheerleader in a small town. She had a shitty home life, and she ended up dead by a lake, allegedly at the hands of the mother's boyfriend. Now, the mother caught a lot of flack, especially from people like this woman, because she had a witch book in her house. So naturally, Texas, witch book, child sacrifice.
But this case has seen more juggling, more.
I will admit, when I first heard this interview, I paused right there and was like, juggalos? And I had to go back. No juggalos in this case.
Almost like a game of hot potato between jurisdictions at times.
Funny, because you look like a cold potato.
And I lost my train of thought on that one, yeah.
Well, you had said that you and Clint had both said that y'all.
This is what I'll say. This is what I'll say.
Sure.
When we're told by the first.
Lost audio there. Are you still with me, Erica?
Yeah, this PI doesn't have very good, she's got nodes in her internet. I'm not gonna talk shit because mine too, but I'm still offended.
So,
All right.
has this been a particularly frustrating case compared to others that you've been on?
Every case is challenged in its own way. But this one seemed to be particularly frustrating, laden with incompetence.
What do you mean every case? Because this is your first case. This is your first case, isn't it? That's what you told us. How would you know about other cases? Huh.
At times, it completely felt malicious. And there are a lot of questions as to why that house was torn down, why this case was moved between jurisdictions, and if anyone might have had a motive.
That's not the reason. It's because of conflict of interest and jurisdiction. Okay. Jurisdictional integrity and to make sure that they had the funds to do everything they needed to process the DNA, but whatever. Okay.
To keep it fair. It is no secret that this fight was a battle, and it should never have been a battle.
It was a
should have been
battle
law
because of
enforcement
you.
working in cooperation.
It was a battle because of you and a couple of other people, I think, my opinion, which I'm allowed to have.
With the father of a missing child? Not against.
No, see, Peggy, what's interesting is she had only, according to her, worked the Haley Dunn case up until this. So now she's talking about all the cases she's seen, which she didn't. You know what's very interesting? There was one person, this is going to blow your minds. Let me pop on for this. There was one person who she name dropped because there's actually two. One person's in Delphi, but that's years later. We'll get to that. There is one person that she had conflict with, and this person vouched for her in a case. It was a bit after this. She was bothering people at a school, okay? She was bothering people at a school, and she name dropped someone who allowed her to be there because she was doing stakeout work for a PI. And you know what's interesting? The last name of the person who she claimed, who is not up on any of her CVs or any of the websites where she posts that I'm a private investigator, which, by the way, we're working on our timeline, but those are all over the map. They're all different, which is kind of another way you can tell when a PI is bullshit. If you're looking for a PI and none of their shit matches, that's a problem, right? So what's very, very interesting with this one is that so the one person who she name dropped to vouch for her as working on behalf of a private investigator, their last name looked familiar, and I looked them up and I went, oh, no shit. So for those of you who know the Twitter discourse, the X shit, which I'm not going to get too far into, I'll just name drop the last name for you, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. McGilvery? Heard of it? Someone who claims to be a bit of a skip tracer, someone who claims to be a Texas PI who does have a license. Doesn't seem to have any successful cases, though. McGilvery. That's interesting, isn't it? Only a few of you will get that. But if you don't know who that is, that's a person who is a PI, who is so out of pocket, does illegal shit, had their ethics called into question by the state because of their behavior in the Karen Reed case, and they continue to harass and troll people on X. So that woman, okay, she's got family. They work in that sector as well. Very interesting to me when I looked at that specific guy she mentioned, McGilvery, when I looked into his history and who his family was. Very interesting that the only person who vouched for her, and they didn't even vouch for her, they said, yeah, she's allowed to be there. Okay. Because he was lied to. Very interesting, that crossover. Not a good look. Kind of like having your tits out when a high school kid's interviewing you.
And I think that was a lot of the early questions I did see in an old interview that we had with him, asking as to why he had stopped cooperating, and he'd said his lawyers had instructed him to lay low and not say anything. Is that emblematic of an innocent man, do you think?
No, an innocent person wants to clear their name. Wants to clear his name, plain and simple. And especially with this, especially with such an egregious accusation. And, you know, even if he didn't want to, her mother should have. Going dark on the press for 5 or 6 years, and then
You know, it's kind of weird. You should want to clear your name if you're innocent. Why didn't the spouse do it? I'm going to spoil something for you. Guess who her best friend is now? She said this openly, and this person allowed her to be in her inner circle and has been seen with her and does hang out with her. And she was in court, I believe. Someone confirm that for me if you're still here. Guess who her bestie is? Kathy Allen. That's right. This is one of Kathy's 2 best friends. It's crazy. If Richard didn't do it, I wonder why Kathy hasn't done any interviews. Or does that logic only work for this case? Ma'am.
What we're hearing, talking to the press tonight, going to leave a lot of bitter taste in a lot of people's mouths.
So
and I'm not saying anything that's already been said.
Yeah, of course. You said that both you and Clint kind of said you felt something was going to happen today. You felt like today might be the day. Was there anything that led y'all to believe that?
There was a meeting that transpired last month with the district attorney's office in which Clint was promised immediate forward movement and was told that this case would move to the arrest phase before the end.
By the way, someone who was in court and saw it with their own eyes, Turbo, is letting you know right now. True. I'm not fucking with you kids. I'm telling you. She was in court every day with Alan's defense team. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? The double standards. Isn't that interesting? Yep, she was able to sit with Kathy. Absolutely. Absolutely. Scott, this kid doesn't even, he looks like Scooter McGavin with fucking glasses, but yeah, he's a little nerdy high school kid, and she's showing him her tits. Isn't that appropriate? Welcome, Scott. Nice to see you.
So what do you think we will see play out over the next few months, days? What's going to happen next in the case?
I know what should happen. I mean, I think it's time to start hearing some arguments. I think there will be an extremely strong argument made for a change of venue on this one. We've actually addressed that.
Oh, you know what, Mitty? It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that. Wait for the next video, because I'm going to play it for you and show you what Bob Motta thinks about it.
Publicly over the years.
And I hate that. I hate that look for him. I really do. Because I liked Bob Motta. Notice the past tense. I'm not trying to start shit. I just think this is very, it's kind of crazy how someone will dig into someone's ass so hard and just go with all kinds of shit. Go with all kinds of, dare I say, conspiracies. But did very little to look into the person giving them information. Fucking wild, isn't it? So to the people who want to know why I don't buy into that bullshit, here you go. And don't worry, this isn't the worst thing she's done. In fact, the worst thing she's done was biting her in the ass actively before she went on Vinnie Politan with Bob Motta. But we'll get to that. I really hope he found out and separated himself. But goddamn, what a bad look. I have a CVS receipt. C. Smith, you are not a fucking monster. This person's a monster. The people who try to convince people and are successful are the biggest most scandalous monsters around. And here's why. Because they don't bank on people looking into shit, and nor should they, because not everyone has all their time to look up everything, right? But I think if you're someone who works in victims advocacy, if you're like me, if you run a YouTube channel, if you work in OSINT, if you're a lawyer, if you're a cop, if you're an investigator, if you're somebody who is about to spread the shit, before you spread the shit, you should look into this. But you can't be mad at yourself if you were ever duped by someone like this. And if that's not why you're calling yourself a monster, I rebuke that shit, C. Smith, because I know you're not a monster. You're a very sweet person. I don't think people who believe her are monsters. I think she is. It's just, yeah, it's scandalistist. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll get there. I'm still working on plural and past tense on some things, and I do believe Nebraska is real now. I just want to put that out to anybody who has questions about my integrity. I watched and heard Erica Morse give a huge attaboy to Andrew Baldwin and yelled, "Way to go, Butch." And he was grinning and beaming. I know, because the defense fucking loves her. Just like they love that pedophile who gave them all that shit, saying the prison guards are beating Richard, even though he had a camera on him the whole time and he was never physically abused. Very interesting. Very interesting to me how Baldwin knew that and still put that he was abused in the Frank's memo or motion or whatever. And by the way, that's going to be a separate episode. And I think Turbo might be joining me for that one. I'm not sure, though. We'll see if she can make it. But very interesting. Advocate. The Advocate calendar? Gregorian. That was too loud. I apologize.
If there needs to be one, so be it. I mean, take the evidence, a couple counties away. It's okay. Nobody's afraid of putting this evidence out there. Mr. Dunn has been screaming to put this evidence out there for over a decade. So, and to be honest, I don't know if he can get a fair trial in West Texas. Kind of made sure of that in order to protect other victims. Because let us remind you that there are other victims. We have been battling for 5 or 6 years.
Thank you. I muted myself. Isn't that fascinating how quick she went from victim's advocate to victim? She's now making herself the victim and saying we again. Oh, okay. We just do that now? Well, guess what? I'm a fucking chef.
Have police reports of other victims. And there were police officers out there who laughed at us and said, that poor innocent man. The news accused him of killing Haley Dunn. And this poor innocent man is being falsely accused by all these women because this private investigator is so desperate to prove that he's the guilty party. Well, let me tell you what, that man is behind bars tonight on a $2 million bond.
Ma'am, you blame the girlfriend. That's crazy how you just changed your story, but okay.
Contract with second-degree murder. Namaste.
And now she's a hippie who does yoga. Ma'am, you just said namaste to me. Are you into crystals? Are you a witch? She's a witch. She's a witch. She must have done it. We're just using her own logic against her. You understand?
For familiarity with the evidence of the case and the evidence that they might have.
Spoiler alert. We're getting there soon. But for anybody who doesn't want to hear that next part, oh, trust me, she did much worse.
On him.
Thank you, Turbo.
As I referenced earlier, the evidence will tell a narrative. It will really kind of lay it all out. I don't know all the evidence. Mr. Dunn does not know all the evidence. We're not going to sit here and claim to know it. They have kept this so close to the vest. And from
really, you're not going to sit here and claim to know it? You mean you didn't finish your witch book yet, ma'am? You didn't finish reading the 5,000-page, 55-page witch book yet? I thought you knew everything.
What I understand, the evidence is like under guard and has been for well over a month. They're protecting this physical evidence.
Ma'am, it's called under seal. It's a legal thing. You would know that if you actually were who you say you are, but whatever.
For some reason. And we do know of some evidence that Clint felt strongly all along would be a key or a key element to solving this case. He fought to get that evidence tested and was denied or ignored. And so he tasked me with finding a test for that evidence. I did. We submitted it to Scurry County years ago. They laughed at us.
That didn't happen. That's just a lie. It's just not true. I don't know what else to say to that other than no, they didn't.
And apparently apparently they did the test anyway.
Scott, it's like the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Someone just sits outside in Odessa and they just they just walk around with a gun and they say, "Don't you touch this evidence."
And Sean Atkins is now behind bars, so there you go.
Do you feel confident that we may see that happen in the near future?
Well, I think he's behind bars tonight already and holding. In terms of serving out a lengthy prison sentence, I don't think this case is going to be tried overnight. There's no way. I think we could be waiting a year or two. There's going to be, there should be experts involved in this. They're going to have, there's going to be a lot involved in this testimony. And again, picking a jury is going to be an interesting aspect of this case. We're moving on to the jury phase now, or the trial phase. And that's a whole other set of extensions and delays and continuances. And Mr. Dunn is completely prepared for that. He is working on a written statement for the press. He does not at this time, due to medical issues and just kind of the overwhelming aspect of the last few hours, does not yet want to get on camera, but did say tonight that he's probably ready to talk about this a little bit later down the line, maybe after conviction, or at least once he's seen all the charges. I mean, aside from missing that call from the DA's office today, we don't have we don't have the probable cause affidavits. We haven't seen the arrest warrants yet. We don't exactly know what's in the paperwork. I am working on getting that information. I'm hoping y'all are too. So there are still a lot of unanswered questions. What we know, right?
Julie, this is a great question. The answer is yes. Now she's a defense attorney, but only for the last 48 years. Okay. 48, 50. We'll add it to the timeline. Who knows anymore? She's a lady who likes to hop from investigation to investigation, befriend a vulnerable individual close to it, spread conspiracy theories, and then dip out when she usually catches a case or a charge. She lies about being a private investigator as well. So that's very interesting. Carol Sue, I was hoping that you would show up. Thank you for being here. I find it odd that Kathy Allen is so close to a fraud who abuses animals. But then again, Morse will spin lies to her. I find it odd too, which is why I do think that Kathy is being duped and having a lot of things perpetuated to her by surrounding herself with yes women. And yeah, Kathy does love cats. That's another reason why this is so disturbing. And it could be why Kathy is now, from what I've heard, trying to distance herself from this lady. But I haven't seen that yet. Nor have I seen, the opposite yet recently, but very interesting.
Now is that for the first time in 10.5 years, that man will not be on the streets tonight, and that the females of West Texas are safer than they've been in over a decade. And I do not make that statement right.
Yeah, how come you didn't have it already? I thought you were tasked to go get all these things and investigate. I thought you were the lead investigator. And Scott doesn't even know who this bitch is. And he's like, dumb, dumb, dumb. Agreed, Scott. And see, Scott did work as a CO. He did work around law enforcement. Very fascinating. Exactly. Wait, how come she didn't have it already? Exactly. You kids are so bright. I love you so much. And now we're in the home stretch of this part.
Yeah, and to those who have been following the case, I'm sure for now over a decade, especially family members who have been following from far or from close, what can you say to them now that we have an arrest and a charge, but we still have a road ahead of us?
In an attempt, a much needed attempt of self-preservation, Mr. Dunn quietly excused himself from a lot of relationships within his family over the last several years because he wasn't sure who he could trust. And that broke his heart in a lot of ways. He deserves to have.
Oddly, the one person he had close to him was you. Huh. Weird.
And needs to have his family with him at this time. He knows David has to be really hurting tonight, and really hopes that this will start to bring some resolution back to that relationship. Mr. Dunn, I don't know if you're aware, has had pretty serious medical last 12 months and is under serious doctor's orders to just really reduce the stress. And Haley's death and her case and the fight is the #1 source of that stress.
I think that was
so-
all the, oh, sorry.
I was just going to say to his family, you know, he knows that everyone is hurt. This isn't just about him. And he wants justice for everyone.
Well, I think that was all the questions I had. Was there anything more you needed to add that might be pertinent to the case?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
All right, now let's get to the receipts, shall we? Because we're going to watch another video after this. And boy, is it going to grind your gears. Okay, first thing I'd like to show you, because I've been sitting here showing you a witch's Bible that is not 5,000 pages, even though she said 55. I've showed you the conflict in her timeline thus far. Don't worry, the timeline gets more hypocritical and long. But there's a couple of things I haven't showed you yet, because it's not just good to tell you, it's good to show you. Let me pop this up. So I looked at her CV, her resumes. Again, they're all over the map, and I mean that literally. But she does give an address and a couple of different names to her PI licensing, what she claims is her business, her organization. She does quote it with Vinnie Politan, and I'll show you that in a minute. She names her own, I guess she calls it a business. I don't know. She names it repeatedly, and she has included it in her CVs that are available online. One of the addresses that her business gives is 12703 Shiloh Road. Now, I believe the business, it's called Past Finders. Okay. So she uses this when she's asked, you know, where did you work as a PI? She says, Past Finders. I work at Past Finders. Okay. So when you look that up, and she even gives the address on her CVs, it's 12703 Shiloh Church Road in Houston, Texas. Now, what I find funny, and I'm sorry, but it is just funny, is that when you go to that address and when you look it up in the history of that address, you're going to find that it was and has always been a shooting range. Shiloh shooting range and a gun store. So no, ma'am, you're not a PI, and Past Finders never existed at this address for Shiloh guns. Okay? This is not your business, nor has it ever been. And I know because I looked up the business history and the owners since 2010. Just in case you're like, oh, but it was a long time ago. No, I'm not going to show you those documents because they do have different people's names on them who are in no way related to her, and they don't really deserve to be put on blast. They did nothing wrong. She just used their address to lie. So I find that very interesting that Shiloh Guns and Range and the gun range that was there before that has no connection to this woman whatsoever. Yet it's the address of her PI business. Ooh, kind of awkward, right? It's pretty easy to look up too. Very easy to look up. In fact, if you just type Erica Morse, you're going to see a lot of things about her. You're going to see a lot of things about her. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and look up her PI license, shall we? Because here's the cool thing. If you ever attempted to get one, which she did attempt. If you ever attempted to get a PI license, you would have to go through a program called TOPS. Okay, here we go. I will unfreeze soon and then I will show you. So you can look up in the tops.portal.texas.gov. That's tops.portal.texas.gov. You can go here anytime you'd like. And if you want to know, is this person a licensed PI, you can see. If you put my name in there, I'm not going to pop up. Why? Because I'm not a licensed PI, nor have I started the process, the application process. I'm at the point where I'm like, should I or shouldn't I? I don't think I will. It really does inhibit you. And I think it limits you a lot, but I might. And if I do, this is how you can find me. And you can find out if I'm full of shit, if I completed my licensing yet. So let me pop this page up for you. And again, I put a link right here. This is how you can look it up. You can also go to the DPS website for Texas. There's a lot of ways you can look it up. So we're going to click individuals. Okay. Now you're going to see that Erica Morse started her, CAPTCHA is required unless I don't do a CAPTCHA. You can see that she started it. See right here, license endorsements, private investigator, registration 526-93601, Erica Leigh Morse. Now here's what's interesting. When you click it, you get more detail. Now you see this, how it says expired on 2022, but see right here, status, not registered or application incomplete. Okay. So if you were registered or had a substantially complete application, it gives you all the terms right here and what that means. Individual has met the above requirements for employment by a business licensed by DPS to provide investigative or security services. So even if she was registered and it was substantially complete, she's still not legally allowed to be a PI, but she can be employed by one and legally working there. Okay. Not registered or application incomplete. Individual is no longer registered, has not met the above requirements, or does not meet the standards for licensure, and is not eligible for employment by a business licensed by DPS. Those who are registered as owner, officer, partner, or shareholder, primary company representative, and additional company representative. By the way, if she were working on their behalf and still allowed to do the work, or a licensed license in the way that she's doing her field work, like she's allowed to, it would actually be listed for her under additional company representative, because primary company representative means that she's working to own. So it's essentially, if you want a metaphor, it's like the difference between a broker and a real estate agent. Now she is at the point where in 2018, she tried to apply to be an apartment locator, like the lowest level. And she didn't even complete her application, nor was she ever registered. And she had 4 years to get it done. 4 years. Now, I was looking into this and I found out by calling them that you're actually given a 5-year time window. She opened her account and started it before, but it did not have enough information like, oh, I don't know her correct fucking name. So it toggled. It was on and off for a year. Hers expired. The application expired. She didn't even finish it. She didn't finish the application to see if she could be one. So to say that she never worked for one, I'll tell you that much. You know why? Because it would tell you if she did, and it would tell you who. And if you look up the business that she claimed, it's not even a real business. Remember the gun range? That's a problem. That's a real problem. Now, in Indiana, she tried to say that a guy named Jensen asked her to move there and work for her, said, you did such a good fucking job. Come work for me. I'm licensed, and if you work under me, it's legal. Funny thing about that, when you look through all of her CVs regarding her Indiana licensing, it says pending Jensen's investigators or whatever Jensen shit is called. She's actually not hired by him. I think he distanced himself from her. Yeah, Justin Jensen. So that's, even she put pending. She can't get a hold of these motherfuckers. They don't want her. Now, if you come here to Texas, this is the only thing on record for her in the history, because I went to DPS and the same shit popped up. And that's where I got the phone number to call and to find out. So what she has been doing in both the Haley Dunn case, which was in Texas, is not only illegal, it's punishable by prison time. It's the equivalent of lying about being a cop. Okay? And do you know what a big deal that is? That's a big fucking deal. You're not allowed to pretend to be law enforcement. People go to prison for that. Yeah, she's trying to say that she's like, oh, I'm working for this Jensen guy. When you go look up all of her recent CVs, it says pending. So even the guy, she's even lying about that shit. It's really fucking wild to me. I can't. You can look this shit up and look at the dates. Issued on 2018, expiration 2022. The account was issued to her, and she did not register, nor did she finish her application. This is a problem. This is bad. Very easy to look up. That took me 2 seconds. You know, to look up all of this took less time than it took her to find her fake witch book she lied about. Isn't that interesting? So on our timeline, I guess we can add. So we have 2010. She started the Haley Dunn case. 2010, became a reporter. 1989, became an investigative reporter. 2015, 2016, witness advocate. And then we have, what is it? In August, before the first interview, a PI. So that would have been 2016, but this is 2018. And also she was never licensed. So that's all a lie too. So what the fuck? I guess we're just making shit up all the time if we're old Tits McGee. Wow. What a heinous individual. Oh, don't worry. It gets worse. And by the way, I did check multiple different affiliates for her. Pathfinder Investigative Services. 2018 to 2021 is the termination date for this fake investigative service. This is the year, or this is the exact month. And notice it says August, right? And she was saying right after it started, like 2010, my ass with the Haley Dunn case, man. This made me become a private investigator. I got my shit in August. Okay. That's when you started your application. All right. You never followed up with them and you were unable to attain it. So you were terminated from the fake business you started with a guy who has 25 YouTube followers and no other background. And also the building that you claimed is a gun range. So do you see how the grift starts to bring in other people? It's very interesting. So this is the comment, and let me make this nice and let me make this a little bigger. All right. And what upset me even more is that this is a raccoon rescue, and you guys know how much I love Raccoon Saloon. So this hurt me extra. This is on a comment under one of the posts about her. I believe it's in the Erica Morris book group where they unravel her grift. There really should be a way to press charges for pretending to be a PI. There are. I'll reach out to you, Raccoon Rescue, and I'll let you know how. For missing persons. My daughter was missing, and all she did was take tons of private info, then shame me, including accounts and passwords. The things she said to me was disgusting and out of line. She made it a nightmare turn 10 times worse. After 3 years missing, I found my daughter myself. No thanks to Erica, prolonging my daughter's suffering for her own agenda. My daughter is now okay and in a better place, but the damage is done. She should go to prison for interfering in all of these cases. I will gladly testify against her. Well, maybe she will. Maybe she will. And maybe she should. I think she should. If I'm not allowed to go around saying I'm a PI without licensing, nobody is. And everyone goes to jail. Okay. Let's stop sharing that now. Now I'm going to read to you, and I'll find her mugshot in a minute. But I would like to read to you. God, there's so many articles about how this woman is bullshit. Hold on one second. Here it comes. Here it comes. All right. I'm going to read for you this paywalled article. And what I'm going to do, because I really don't want this to freeze again, but I do want you to have the availability to see her hilarious mugshot, is I'm going to put a link to it in the chat. And if you'd like to go click on it and see the mugshot yourself, you can do that. Here. Oh, you know what? Here we go. I'm going to copy the link. Let me put that in here. It's so long, though. I don't even know if you can copy paste it. But also, if you just Google this specific headline, all right, cruelty to an animal. If you type in cruelty to an animal, Erica Morse, you should see this. Okay. I'm going to read you this article real quick. This is recent, like in the last year. All right. This is from LaPorte, Indiana. Remember, I told you how she moved to Delphi, right? LaPorte. Police say a 49-year-old woman who has already faced a charge of harassing a man she believed responsible for an unsolved 2020 fatal hit-and-run crash in Michigan City, which she also did, severely neglected three cats, resulting in the death of one. Erica Morse of Michigan City, the lady we've been watching, is charged with 3 counts of cruelty to an animal, records show. Michigan City Police said they responded October 27th to a complaint filed from a local landlord who said after Morse had been evicted from a residence in the 1600 block of Tennessee Street, several cats in poor shape were discovered. Morse and her husband had been evicted after failing to pay rent for 14 months, the landlord said. The trigger warning. Okay. Trigger warning for what I'm about to read. This pisses me off so bad. The landlord handed police 2 kittens severely infested with fleas, according to the report. I have never seen such a serious case of fleas in kittens, police wrote. Police described the smell inside the house as horrendous and said there was food, garbage, and animal waste everywhere. As officers searched for more cats, they reportedly found one dead on a toilet, on a towel in front of a toilet, on a towel in front of a toilet. I believe the condition of the kittens and the deceased cat inside was due to the unsanitary conditions of Morse's home. In another article, by the way, it said she neglected them, left them alone in the heat with no AC for God knows how long, or food. Morse, who is claimed to be a private investigator, an investigative reporter with 35 years of experience, was charged in October 2023, so a little over a year ago this one happened, with misdemeanor harassment by written communication after the alleged victim told Trail Creek police that he had been receiving unwanted and harassing text messages from Morse. I'm getting tired of these fucking messages from this crazy fucker, man. The complainant reportedly told police. Now they put expletive and I just inserted my own there. I can't take any more of this, man. I really can't, end quote. The man said the messages were coming from Morse, whom he had spoken with earlier in the year. She called him to harass him and ask him questions, and who was accusing him of being the driver responsible for the unsolved 2020 hit and run death of 46-year-old Tara Stevens. Now, I looked into this. A person who happened to have a car at one time that looked like the car that hit the girl, because she was able to find it in her minimal research, a car that just looked like it. She took it upon herself to harass this guy, to call him at home, to go to his house and to spread rumors about him, put his name out, put his accounts out, and accuse him of killing a woman with no fucking proof whatsoever. Spoiler alert, he didn't do it. And the vehicle actually didn't match. Stevens, who was from Michigan City but living in St. Joseph County in 2020, had just parked her vehicle and was crossing East Michigan Boulevard to attend a gathering at the Creekside Bar and Grill when she was struck shortly before midnight on September 12th, 2020, by what police determined was a dark-colored, they didn't even say the color, dark-colored 2010 to 2017 GMC Terrain. Now, I went ahead to look up how many records I could find with a GMC Terrain from those dates using just the buzzword GMC terrain. There were thousands. This is fucked. She is so out of pocket. But I digress. The mother of two died a few days later, and the man allegedly being targeted by Morse was cleared as a suspect very early on in the investigation, Michigan City police have said. That case appears to have been on its way to being addressed. The prosecutors Monday filed a motion to reactivate a pretrial diversion agreement due to new charges and requested a hearing for December 23rd. Now, you need to know another thing that she likes to say she's a part of is that she is the president or the creator of Victims News Online. Victims News Online has a shitty webpage. It is done in the worst HTML format I've seen probably ever. She there is like another like YouTube page with less than 20 people following it. This is an organization that is not real, okay? It doesn't have any records to back it up financially speaking. It's not registered. It's not a 501c. There's nothing about it that's legit except someone made a website and it's shitty. And that's very important. Now, she calls herself the founder, but in some of her interviews, you'll notice she says she was brought on. She was brought on to be a part of it and take it over. Now, when she moved from Texas, which she also claimed it back then, when it had 6 people on the YouTube page, and I do not want to promote her shit, so we are not going to look at it. I will link it below if you'd like, or you can ask me later, or I'll put it on we'll have a thread going or something. Now, here's the thing. If you go to type in Victims News Online in her name, you'll see plenty of shit. When she moved, she decided to call herself the founder and put Greater Chicago area. She doesn't even fucking live in Chicago. She's not in Illinois. So that's weird. Is it because it's a bigger city? Does she think that adds to the clout? The prestige of Chicago? Bitch, shut up. It's all bullshit. It's all made up. And she is a pathological liar. It is wild. If you go to public.courts.in.gov, which I will link below, okay? You can go there. And this is how you look up cases. I just put a link if it's Indiana. If you want to look up Richard Allen shit, you could do that there too. All right? And this whole he has a squeaky clean background is fucking bullshit too, but we'll get to that later. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to search by name. Morse, first name. Erica. Done. Wow. Wow. Here's what's interesting. So her middle name has an L in it. Wow. 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 Gee, what a good person. What a great private investigator to pretend that she has all this extensive background in crime, but in solving it, when in actuality, she has an extensive background in doing it. I find that interesting. And yeah, sure, small claim. She has a lot of credit issues. She doesn't seem to pay her bills, let alone her rent for 14 fucking months. That poor landlord comes out to a trash house. Now, that made me particularly furious. And I know most people don't want to, they don't want to stand up for the landlord. The landlord's always the bad guy, right? Now, here's the issue. I did make-readies for a long time. My job was to clean up shit left behind by these people so that the landlord can rent it out. What are we doing? What's the fight about? Everybody can be here. No one has to go away. If you say some dumb shit, I'll kick you out. But if they haven't said dumb shit later, I say, why not? Okay, let the troll stay. Here's why, because they might learn something. And then they might change their mind, and then nobody annoys anybody anymore. You guys can be friends, right? Or you can be friends with someone anyway, even if they don't have the same view as you. So, like, everybody just, it's fine. I don't care about trolls. I like trolls. Troll, come here. Get close to me. How are you doing today? Sit around, stick around. If you're just getting here now, go back to the beginning of the video, please. I'll allow you in. I don't give a fuck what you think. But, you know, watch the content. Accuses Kelsey of the murders and thinks he's Richard Allen likes it. Oh, the troll accuses Kelsey? Venue. Are you someone who goes and accuses Kelsey German of shit? Do you? Do you accuse her of murder? Is that true? Because that's one thing I fucking don't like. And if you do that, you can get fucked. Do we have confirmation that this happens? He's a giant scumbag. I believe that for some people, but let's wait. Venue 3. Do you believe Kelsey German? Because here's the thing, you can even believe that. But the problem is, I fucking hate that. And I'm about to be a hypocrite here. Because absolutely does. Okay, here's the thing, Venue. Are not transparent. Oh, you don't? Well, guess what? Their kid got murdered. So get fucked. Bye. Peace, bitch. Don't come back. All right, thank you guys. See, people can have their opinions, but when you go accusing the fucking little sister, you can get fucked. I don't need you here. I don't like that. That's actually what I'm against. I don't like that. You can accuse them to other people, but if you're bothering them, the victim's parents, if you're spreading rumors, big sister, sorry, the guy's in fucking jail. So if you're still going on with Kelsey did it, you're fucking insane. You're crazier than the cat killer. You are on par with the cat killer in my book. You're allowed to have insane opinions, but if your insane opinions are, oh, I hate black people, or Kelsey did it, I don't want to be around you and I don't need you in my space. And that's up to me. And I'm allowed to be a hypocrite about that. Why? Because I don't need you in here poisoning my fucking beachfront community, bitch. Mary Jane, thank you for the super sticker. I will use that to put a moat around my house to catch assholes. He followed Mike Patty into a coffee shop. I hope someone does that to you. To that person who I kicked out, little dove fucker. I hope someone follows you. I hope Erica follows you. Maybe we should give Erica a call and let her know about a good lead we found. What a psychopath, really? Ugh. If people that I trust a lot didn't tell me that right now, that troll would probably still be here. But I trust you guys. I believe you. And I don't like that. Their name is Noe. Well, they are annoying me. I hate it when people blame the sister and the parent. Like, are you fucking kidding me? While the guy's in jail, you're still on that? Just as bad as cat killer, in my opinion. Speaking of cat killer, let's look. What do we got here? Cruelty to an animal. Defendant has custody of a vertebrate animal and recklessly. No, all right, let's just click on it. We're not going to click down because we don't need to see her address and dox her. We don't need to do that. But as you can see, this is Erica. She has 3 charges stemming from, what's the significance of October 27th, Erica? What are you, a witch? Cruelty to an animal. Defendant has custody of a vertebrate animal, and recklessly, knowingly. So vertebrate animal with a spine, walking animal, a pet, anything. When I talked to the lawyer lady, she was telling me like there's actually different charges for different specific animals. And there are people who torture horses is a big thing. Now, I'm not going to get in depth on what she said to me, but I will tell you this much. There are a lot of people apparently in Indiana who hurt horses. Horses are like the #1 abused animals there, and then it's cats and dogs, which is very strange. When you consider how many people out there ride horses and handle horses, but starvation of horses is a big issue. And it's such a problem that they had to literally create different stipulations and laws around it. Indiana does have some Floridian qualities to it. Yes, that's true. Now, one of the ways that they can separate or signify which charges go where or for how long, or to determine sentencing, if you will, they actually do define it as a vertebrate animal. I believe show horses and like basically competition horses and certain like dressage shit like that can actually be combined with a almost like it's not grand theft auto, but it's like a grand theft charge because they're worth a fuckload of money. So yeah, they were able to charge her with 3. I did try to contact one person who spoke about this in a forum. I'll just say that. And they knew the landlord. I only got about 3 or 4 minutes with them. They had to go to work. They were very nice to me, and they did answer a couple of quick questions. Because Erica likes to defend these charges. She said that she was being stalked. It's all planted. None of it's true. One of the things that she likes to tout is that it was the landlord who did it, not her. So it turns out the landlord was extremely upset. The landlord was crying, and the landlord is an animal lover. And actually, there are situations where a lot of landlords, and some have been known to just clean the place out or hire someone to clean it out, and they don't give a fuck. This one cared so much that they tried to get the kittens a home, in addition to following up with police, in addition to making sure that they were taken care of, and even said, if I could afford it, I'd help out and I'd take it to the vet myself. But I need you folks to see this, to make sure that she was held accountable, and to make sure that those kittens could get a good life and could get the surgeries and the medical care they needed. Now, if Erica had paid her goddamn rent, the landlord might have been able to adopt them themselves. But Erica not only didn't pay her goddamn rent, she tortured, abused, and neglected these animals. So, with that said, if that landlord was really a dick, they would have cleaned the house out and tried to fucking immediately rent it out and not said a fucking thing. But they didn't. They did the right thing. So for her to try to blame that landlord is another hit to her character, as if she has any left. Moving on. If you want to see more of what she did, type her name into Judy Records. Type her name, if you wish, into mycase.in.gov, or go to the Texas DPS website and do a criminal history search on her like I did. Wow. Wow. You could even maybe pop into some other states, which we're not here to exploit any other stupid shit she did in the past. But let's just say, I have a feeling, it's just my opinion, that shoplifting might be strong with this one. Might be something to just look into. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on. And not you. You're a good Erica. Erica with a K is a good Erica. All right. So we're going to stop sharing that. Now, we do have to wrap it up soon. Don't worry. There's going to be a whole nother episode, maybe another one, because this lady does a lot of crimes and a lot of lies. And then we're going to have one where we're going to go over the Frank's motion, and we're going to go over all the bullshit in it. And I'm going to show you receipts, just like I showed you this shit. I'm going to show you receipts and why it's wrong. One of my favorites to show people is when the defense said the phone wasn't wet, and they made a huge deal out of this. It spread all over the internet. I mean, they made this like Richard's innocent. The phone wasn't wet. There's no way. Don't tell me there's water on that phone. Well, that's funny because I looked at the picture and there's fucking water droplets on the phone. So remember, it's not about what you're told. It's also about what you see sometimes. Okay? In fact, all the time. Show me. Remember how they said the girls had runes put on them and that one was perfectly sawed? Well, guess what? Unfortunately, one of the dickheads who shared the crime scene photos online, my algorithm picked it up. And unfortunately, I still have fucking nightmares from what I saw. But I'll tell you the most glaring thing that bothered me. The fact that trees just fucking grow like that. Trees just fucking grow like that. When a tree grows and it has a branch grow out of it, that's how it grows. That's how trees grow. Hold on one second. Let me let him in. Hey, I'm almost done. I was busy freaking out. Come on in. So trees just fucking grow like that. How are you doing? How was work? Good. Okay. Excellent. I'm almost done here. You ever look at a fucking cloud and you look at it and you go, oh, that looks like a dog. Imagine looking at a fucking tree and you see how a tree has a stick and then it's got a branch growing out of it and another one. And you go, that looks like an F. That looks like a T. That looks like a branch that branches off. Branches upon branches. Interesting. So did these Odinists plant a tree that just magically spells out words or magically like creates runes? Or maybe you're looking at something, you're looking at the branches and you're trying to see something. Maybe you're trying to see something that's not there. Because what I saw was a branch that had other branches growing out of it. And the entire thing was placed as if to try to cover a young lady who unfortunately was deceased. That's what I saw. I didn't see multiple sticks placed in the form of a rune like Court TV wants you to believe, or like a certain couple of lawyers want you to believe. But if you unfortunately saw that photo, you would realize that that's not what's going on. And there was no perfectly sawed off. There was no perfectly, it had to be done with a hands off. Mr. Baldwin, you're full of shit and you're lying. No. That's just how it fucking grew. End of story. Nothing about that crime scene said two individuals exactly. In fact, I would argue that the messiness, the juvenile nature of the crime scene, the fact that they didn't finish what they accomplished, the fact that only one was nude, and the fact that there was shit tossed on top of them, leaves and stuff. I mean, that tells me it was a person who didn't finish. In fact, what's interesting is Richard is eventually interrogated. And from what I heard from Turbo and from the people who I trust to report out of that courthouse, it seems as though he told you why there was no DNA on their bodies, because he didn't finish. He didn't get to. He saw, what was it, Weber? Was it Brad? He saw the guy with the white van. He saw the van guy coming home from work, got scared, didn't finish. He clicked the gun. He didn't shoot them. He tells you why. He tells you why. Nobody's saying he molested the girls. People are saying he killed them. The evidence showed he killed them. Now, unfortunately, not all cases have DNA. Some are circumstantial. But when it's circumstantial and the evidence fits the story that you're being told by the guy who's confessing over 60 fucking times, that's important. Also, I reject the notion that, but he was in solitary confinement for 10 years. No. He transferred to two prisons that we actually looked at, and we saw how nice they were. One of them's brand new. It's getting fresh lighting. He was given an iPad. I didn't even have an iPad for most of my fucking life, and he broke it. But he ate his shit. Okay, gross. Gross. He's nasty. Gross. He was tortured. Prove it. Show me. Because they have him on camera the entire time he's in there, and not once was he struck by anyone. Very interesting. Very interesting. Very gross. And Mary Jane, if they tried to whitewash it to support the Franks memo, they did a piss poor job, because it negated everything that I was reading when I was looking at it. If anything, it makes them look terrible. Most of the things that the defense said, if you just look, you'll see is bullshit. They tell you there's no water on this phone. I'm looking at a phone with droplets of water on it. They tell you there was no blood at the crime scene. Well, I'm looking at a photo that has pools of blood on dried leaves. They're telling you that he was tortured. Okay, well, everything was on camera. The jury saw him. They saw him eat his own shit. He wasn't forced to do that. No one put a gun to his head. He broke his iPad. That pissed me off. That really pissed me off. Now, Teddy was at the trial, and so was Turbo. And what I like about them is they didn't clout chase and make up bullshit and clickbait headlines. They actually kept very thorough notes, and they're on Turbo's channel, and I highly recommend you go there. Can someone put Turbo's? If you can't, I'll put it below. But if someone can put Turbo's channel in the chat, I'd like to highlight it. I'm going to end on this. There's a lot that Erica did, a lot worse. And there's a lot of people who enabled her to do that. Now, I've said this before. I've said, I'm going to shut the fuck up and just let this play. And I never do. I always pause it. But I really have to go right now because I have to eat food. I'm very hungry. And I have to walk my Hugin. And this can't go on forever. But did you can him? If our dog, Mookie's, if you hold up a can and you say can at him, he fucking hates it. You can't find Turbo? Okay, hold on. Hey, Teddy, can you put in Turbo's link? Oh, yeah, that's a great question. Who did she stay with during the trial? Who's Airbnb? Interesting. Isn't it one of the guests we're about to watch? I'm going to end on this. I'm actually going to shut the fuck up and let this play all the way through. Okay? I'm not going to interrupt at all. But we're going to do another episode. Turbo's going to come on. I'll put her channel in the link in a second. Turbo's going to come on with us, I think, hopefully. Teddy, if you'd like to come on, I'd love to hear you. I'd like to pick apart the Frank's memo, which I've been working on. I have extensive notes and I have the receipts to back it up. We're going to do that for sure. But we'll work on picking apart what you're about to see. Here's Turbo's channel, by the way. Thank you so much, YouTube Bad Actors. I'm going to play for you an interview with Erica, a couple of other people. And I'm just going to let it speak for itself, okay? I'm going to let it speak for itself. And then tomorrow when we come back, all right? Tomorrow when we come back, we're going to pick that apart. And then after that interview, we're going to pick apart the Frank's memo. I'm going to show you some things to prove that what you're being told is not what happened. And then last, we're going to start talking about the floor fires. So with that said, thank you to everybody who came today. Really question if you see this woman or people adjacent to her, anyone that's blaming Kelsey still, anyone who exploits cases like these people do, anyone telling you some shit that makes you go, that's not right, makes you turn your head like my dog does when I tell him we're out of snacks. I have no more Mookies. Anything that makes you do the head tilt. That's the point when you kind of got to take a step back. The link is broken. No, I'll find a good one. I'll put it in there. Take a step back and look into it. And if you don't know how to look into it, email me. If I can't figure it out, I'll get someone who can. We'll call Duty Ed. Okay? Yeah, it says the page is okay. I'm going to go find Turbo's page. I'll put it up. I'm going to play for you one of the most recent interviews with Erica that so many people saw. I think the only thing more disturbing than what you're about to watch, aside from the cat info, is the comments below it. I think the comments below it, it makes me want to rip my own hair out. Yeah, if you type in Turbo Uncloaked Delphi, it will get you there. But I'm also going to put a link. Oh, Dave's boyfriend says hi. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. You're going to see this video again tomorrow because we're going to play it and pick it apart because I have so much to say. But I want it to speak for itself. I want to be fair. And I don't want to steer you anywhere with my interpretations or what I think about it. I want you, after knowing everything I just showed you, which isn't even everything about Erica, I want you to watch this video, think about it tonight, take a nap on it, really think about it, and really consider the next time you see her or anybody associated, affiliated with, or backing her up, past, present, or future. Really consider what they're saying. And are you just going to buy that shit? Are you just going to lap that shit up? Or are you going to sniff it and make sure it's not poison first? All right. Here's Papa Rogers. No, I'm just I really think Vinny Politan looks like Papa Rogers. I don't think he is, because Papa Rogers is actually, it's oddly a guy in Indiana who's really obsessed with the school board there because his kids go there. Everybody even Banfield's over here fucking pushing. They're still, as of yesterday, they're still putting out that was Brian. It's so insane. Oh, that poor dude. He really fucked himself by being smart and having investigative experience. What a bummer. Anyway, enjoy this. Question everything, especially anyone you see on this panel today. Here we go.
Of the Defense Diaries podcast was in the courtroom for the trial. Bob Motta, and private investigator, worked on the case for nearly 2 years, is close with Richard Allen's family. Erica Morse is with us. Thank you both for being here. Erica, it's been a while since I've talked to you about this case. So let's talk about this case. Let's start first with Richard Allen. His wife, Kathy, wasn't there today, right?
No one from the Allen family attended. That was an ongoing discussion between Rick and his family for about the last 2 weeks, Vinny, as to whether or not they should go. And the decision was made that if Rick's advisement by the defense attorneys was to not participate in the pre-sentencing investigation report, and for good reason, that the family would stand with him in solidarity and not accept the verdict by refusing to show up. It is unfair to watch this family, or to ask this family to watch this man be sentenced for crimes he did not commit in a trial that has to be redone.
So, Erica, tell me, why do you believe he did not commit this horrific double murder?
Oh, well, Vinny, we only have, 20 minutes to talk about it tonight. The Frank's memo. Frank's memo, which was not a concoction of the defense team. It was a highly and very thoroughly investigated extension of a report created by an FBI task force who developed that theory. And the man who authored that report died at the hands of an Odinist prison guard 5 days after he turned that report in.
Wait. Say that again?
To tell you, Vinny. Bob, back me on this. Am I lying?
No, she's talking about Greg Ferenczi, who was one of the 3 authors of the Odin report.
Anybody who's mad about what I'm showing you, don't get mad at me, get mad at them. Also, tune in tomorrow when I show you why this is all bullshit and she is lying. Because Greg Ferenczi, his family and friends were also families and friends with Shane Meehan, the guy who did it. Also, it really grates at me. I just have to put this in there. He didn't throw, because they're about to say some misleading shit. He didn't actually throw a Molotov cocktail at Greg or through Greg's window. He threw it at the FBI building, which we'll take a look at. Simultaneously, it was in, what's the town? Is it LaPorte? I don't remember the exact, totally different city. Anyway, yeah, Mary Jane gets it. He was not an Odinist. He attended 3 different Christian churches with his wife and kids before there were marital problems. There are also people who swear it's because the wife cheated. No, that's not it. They were separated. She had a new boyfriend, totally different situation. Now, the kids of the guy who did this, the son had to speak out at his school, and he did a great job explaining why you shouldn't fucking bully the victims who are also the suspect's family, because they had to watch their dad go through mental decline. He has mental health issues. This is a guy who ran for mayor in the town, and it's Fort Wayne. Thank you. This is a man who ran for mayor. He had severe mental distress, mental issues. Everything they're saying about this guy in Ferenczi is bullshit. Shane was a guard at a complex that has nothing to do with this case many years before. Okay. Many years before. Then he had another job, and he eventually tried to run for mayor. Okay. There is absolutely no, this is like if I worked for Starbucks 10 years ago and someone tried to make a Starbucks connection. That's what's going on here. Highly, highly unprofessional. It is a stretch at best. And it had nothing. And if that doesn't. So she's about to tell you that Greg is the author of the Frank's memo. He's the guy who found out about the Odinism and the runes. Hey, newsflash, the guy who killed Greg did it in 2021 before the Frank's memo was even a fucking thing. It was not released to the public, and this guy had no way of seeing that or knowing that, and he's not a psychic. With that said, I just can't believe anyone would have this woman in their presence, let alone on television, and would allow this to be broadcast on a national level. And it highly concerns me that such fantastic attorneys wouldn't look into this person. Ugh.
Report that Click, Ferenczi, and Kevin Murphy all put together because they continued that line of investigation for years until.
Oh yeah, one more thing about Click. One more thing about Click. He covered up child abuse, which is why he lost his job. So don't forget that, because they're not going to tell you.
Greg Ferenczi was killed, and that was in front of a federal building shortly after he turned in that document.
Explain this to how is he killed? So the man who was killed was working for the FBI or was part of the task force. Who exactly was he?
He was one of the 3 members of the task force tasked with investigating all of the tips related, and I mean all of the tips related to a particular group of individuals. And Greg authored the report. It was turned in, I believe, on May 2nd. And he, on May 7th, was sitting in an office inside the federal building in, I believe it was Indy or Terre Haute. And a Molotov cocktail was thrown through his office window. Greg vacated his office, ran outside in front of the federal building. And that is when he was shot in the head by a former prison guard who is very openly tied to Odinism.
So was that prison guard arrested and prosecuted for this?
Yes, and charged, convicted. Yes, sir, he was. And this is one of the many details about the Delphi case that the state does not want the world to know. They don't want the world to know that Todd Click has been charged with unrelated crimes, another member of that task force. They don't want to know about the number of people associated with this case who have died or been charged, myself included. They don't want the world to know.
Wait, you've been charged with something now?
The blood, I got to be careful.
Right.
But the blood spatter expert who testified at the Delphi trial was at my home alone, inside my home, 2 days before he testified in the trial. And Bob can attest to that. There's so much y'all don't know, Vinny. There's so much. People are scared. And then to have Doug and Dick sit there today and disparage us for the work we've done and talk about the transparency that they claim occurred in a case where there was none, where the defense team wasn't even allowed to present a case. Let's go. I'm ready. I told you I was going to talk starting the day the gag order was lifted. Let's do this.
Bob, what are you? I'm trying to make some sense of all this. So it seems like there's a big backstory here to the whole Odinism angle. And I just want to clarify this, right? So there's a task force that's part of law enforcement. And there's some members of this task force who had a different theory. They did not believe Richard Allen, or Richard Allen wasn't even on the radar yet for anyone. But they believed that the murder of these 2 girls was connected to some sort of Odinistic or Odinism Odinistic group ritual killing. And what you're telling me is that one member of that group who authored that report is no longer alive. Another one's been arrested for something?
Right before trial. Unrelated to the case, but
is he law enforcement or is she law enforcement? Like the people on this task force, were they law enforcement officers?
Oh yeah, these were all longtime cops. These were all decorated. I mean, just Google Greg Ferenczi. You'll see immediately this guy was highly respected. All of these cops were longtime cops. And that's kind of what we've been saying about, this concept of Doug Carter getting up there and casting shade on the defense for doing their job. Number one, let's just understand that it's their job, and everything that was in that Frank's memo that people on the Richard Allen is guilty. They created this whole narrative thing. The defense did side. I don't know if they just don't realize that all of that came from the discovery tendered to the defense by the state. None of this was cooked up by the defense.
Right.
That exact report we're talking about was in the discovery. That report that we're talking about right now was in the discovery. So when they start talking to these cops, obviously Ferenczi wasn't there to talk to, but the defense called Click, deposed Click. They deposed Kevin Murphy or called Kevin Murphy. They were like, what is this all about? Does this thing have legs?
Wow.
I mean, everything that was in that Frank's memo.
Stay where you are. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll discuss more of these explosive revelations next.
Do you think that the public perception of Richard Allen is not accurate?
I don't think it's accurate. Richard Allen's a murderer.
Okay, Richard Allen today was sentenced to 130 years in prison for the Delphi murders. But right now we're going over some explosive revelations that are being brought by a private investigator who's investigated this case for 2 years. She is with us, Erica Morse, along with Bob Mata, criminal defense attorney, host of Defense Diaries. I've got this information, and I just pulled this up. You're hitting me with this tonight, Erica, but I want the folks at home to hear this because this is a press release from the U.S. Attorney's Office. A federal grand jury in Indianapolis returned an indictment today. And obviously, this goes back in time to 2022, charging a Terre Haute man with the murder of a federal officer, attempted arson of federal property, and using a firearm during a crime of violence causing death. The charges against Shane Meehan, 45, stem from the July 7th, 2021 killing of Terre Haute police detective and FBI task force officer Gregory Ferenczi. Meehan was previously charged by a federal criminal complaint. According to court documents, on July 7th, Meehan drove his pickup truck to the gate of the FBI resident agency building in Terre Haute. Meehan exited his truck and threw a Molotov cocktail toward the building. Shortly thereafter, Terre Haute police detective and FBI task force officer Gregory Ferenczi walked out of the building, just like you said, and was confronted by Meehan, who was holding a firearm. Meehan shot Ferenczi, who died of his injuries. Now, the U.S. attorney doesn't indicate anything about the investigation or the report connected to Odinism, but what you're saying is the report is handed in 5 days before this happened?
The report was turned in on the 2nd of May, and Greg was killed on the 7th.
Wow. Was any of this litigated, Bob? When was all these revelations coming out first, Erica? When were these pieces put together? And when did you understand oh my goodness, there might be something else going on here?
The first round of discovery and found the Odin report in that discovery. That's when everybody kind of pumped the brakes for a second and went, what the hell are we dealing with here? And
well, how do we know that Shane Meehan does he claim to be an Odinist?
Yes, and he his employment is listed throughout the trial as a former prison guard in the DOC. And as you recall, we had a lot of problems with prison guards inside the DOC being Odinists. Oh gosh, I hope I'm here in 24 hours, Vinny. A lot of problems with allegations about Odinist prison guards, and some of those guys testified at trial. Again, there was a reason why cameras weren't allowed in that courtroom. There was a reason why pen and paper only were allowed. And as Andy Baldwin said, a couple of years ago, standing inside one of the courthouses, he said, it's time for journalists to be journalists. And we were begging you guys, while being stifled, silenced, threatened, retaliated against, gagged, to dig deeper and deeper, because we couldn't tell the world what was happening. But what we continued to do throughout the process is file motions and provide information that should have been allowed in at trial to be explored by a jury. And not only was it not allowed, but then today, a very extreme effort was made to shut down any attempt to let us talk about it. And listen, I'm all in at this point. An innocent man was just sentenced to 130 years in prison today. His wife has become one of my best friends. And I can't let this go. Rick Elan is an innocent man, and we can prove it.
All right. Stay where you are. We're going to do an extra segment on this. We're going to take a short break right now, but Bob Motta, Erica Morse staying with us. Big night here. Richard Allen sentenced to 130 years, but now, is there more to the story? We'll be right back. Tonight on Closing Arguments, the families of Abigail Williams and Liberty German finally get some justice. We're bringing you the latest from today's sentencing in the Delphi murder case.
Closing Arguments, coming up next, only on Court TV. Join Court TV's Vinny Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinny Politan Investigates, coming up next, only on Court TV.
Baldwin, can you provide any comment?
Journalism. It's time for you guys to start being journalists.
That was the call from Richard Allen's attorney in the Delphi murder case. And we're in the midst of doing some of that right now on this program. Welcome back. Richard Allen, 130 years. He was sentenced today. Presented no evidence, said nothing. They're going, banking on the appellate process in all of this. Erica Morse is with us, private investigator. Has worked this case for 2 years. Bob Motta knows this case inside out, has been covering it in defense diaries. Bob Motta's a great attorney. So the man who shoots and kills the author of the Odinism report and shoots and kills the FBI task force member, who's a Terre Haute detective, is now in a hospital, not competent to stand trial, apparently, for these federal charges. He's having mental issues. So I don't know what's going on there. Bob Motta, let me ask you a quick question. Quick answer. What can the defense team do with this information? And this, does this become anything that can be used to get a new trial?
Yeah, I mean, a bulk of it was contained in the Franks memo. I mean, that a huge amount of what we've been talking about was contained in the Franks memo.
It's larger than that. If you've got someone who's alleged to be a former Department of Corrections Odinist who shoots and kills the author of the guy who says the Odinists are responsible for the murder of Abby and Libby.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to make that connection. I don't know if that connection's been made. Certainly wasn't brought up by the defense in that context because they're worried about defending Richard Allen.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying?
So that connection, is that new evidence that could get you potentially a new trial?
If it has legs.
Okay. Erica Morse, does it have legs?
its legs, and there's a lot of new information. You know, the thing I really have to stress here is that this defense team, a group of individuals assigned and then some others brought on by request, independently and collectively, you know, we keep hearing countless hours. Well, I did a little bit of very conservative math today, and I'd say on our end, conservatively, 22 to 25,000 hours as a team on this case. And we have done such thorough investigating. We took that 27-page Odin report and turned it into a 136-page Frank's memo. And there is a reason they fought to keep that out. And there is a reason why every time we tried to get it in, it was shut down quickly. We have conflicts of interest running amok in this case. We have very strange timelines that don't fit. For those who were in the courtroom today, the one thing that Brad did ask was that the record be corrected to reflect that Rick was not arrested on October 28th, that he was actually arrested on October 26th. And I can tell you that I've spent the last 2 weeks of my life going through every minute of October 26th through October 28th, and it has resulted in a lot of new information.
Okay. We're out of time for tonight, but